Around here, corn is king, and everywhere you turn, you will see Iowa's #1 commodity. AAA baseball and the Iowa Cubs can draw a crowd in Iowa's capital city, but just 35 miles east of Des Moines, adventure awaits. The Iowa Speedway brings NASCAR to America's heartland. Interstate 80 is our nation's most traveled highway, and tucked into the southern side of its guardrails in the tiny town of Newton, Iowa, a 7-8-mile loop has its own breed of truckers, and these guys do not slow down for anything or anyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Krista Voda, and welcome to The Setup, coming to you live from my home state of Iowa. Now, the Iowa Speedway is relatively young in terms of age, but her walls are already etched with champions as winners, like Stenhouse, Busch, Keselowski, Franchitti, and Weldon. Truck Series drivers who are also on that list include Skinner and Dillon, also champions, and last year's race winner, Matt Crafton, who hopes this is his title year. Well, in addition to telling you why your favorite driver is a contender tonight, here's what else we have in store. Eddie Sharp Racing, poised for a title, but who are they and how did they get together? Ray Dunlap has their story. And did you know several teams are represented by Iowa? We will introduce you to one crew member who left Iowa to follow his dream and is back here tonight. And if this is the Hawkeye State, why are we talking about Cornhuskers? That's Nebraska's nickname. Well, our Nebraska native Rick Allen will explain. But up first, Ray Dunlap and Hermie Sadler will be covering the pits tonight. So let's find out who or what they have their eye on. Hermie, you're up first.
Well, Krista, if any team ought to look forward to coming to a racetrack, it's Thor Sport Racing coming to the racetrack here in Iowa. Both of their teams have been very successful here all 3 years. Matt Crafton won this race last year, as Krista mentioned, an average finish of 3.3. His teammate Johnny Sauter, 3 starts, 3 top 5s. They both qualified in the top 10 tonight, and most people in the garage say to win, you got to run Crafton and Sauter. And also, let's not forget Dakota Armstrong, the 3rd team in this stable, been solid all weekend. Maybe he can get his breakthrough victory tonight at Iowa. Let's hear from our pit road partner, Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Hermie. You know, I spend a lot of time thinking about how much great expectation there always is if your name is above the door on a truck that has a black number 3. Well, Ty Dillon has those expectations, and the fans will be rooting for this truck for sure. But think about this. Tonight is his 12th start in the Camping World Truck Series, and he's driving truck number 5. Now, 12 races was exactly how long it took for his older brother, Austin, to get his first win. He drove truck number 5. You know where he did it? Right here at Iowa 2 years ago. Now, so far this year, this team has finished in the top 10 in each and every race, but they haven't been to victory lane yet. Truck number 3 needs to get there in a hurry, and tonight, it just might be the magic here at Iowa. Krista?
All right, thanks, Ray. What a title fight we have. It also means it's hard to pick a winner. The Brazilians are on the move. Paludo is up into the top 10. PK falls 3 positions. That's the P's. What about the C's? Coulter and Crafton each move up 1, but there's movement up top as well. Timothy Peters retakes the points lead. Peters still looking for that win. Coming up on the setup, you cannot come to Iowa and not get your hands a little dirty. It's a corn husking contest, not eating, Rick. That's Truck Series style. And talk about an odd couple. Make that an odd trio. Eddie Sharp and his drivers are an unlikely group, but they have found a formula that works for them.
I'm just one guy. I tell them all the time, I'm the name on the door only because somebody has to file the tax returns. But, you know, I'm nothing without everybody standing in this shop.
The setup is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. By eHarmony.com, where dates have a chance of becoming something more. And by Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil brand, Mobil 1. Well, keep an eye on that truck. The 6 of Justin Lofton has been a pleasant surprise. He starts third tonight. The only trucks ahead of him, those of Nelson PK, who starts second, and Timothy Peters is on the pole. Welcome back to Iowa. After a decade of ownership, Kevin and Delana Harvick said goodbye to the race team they own at the end of last year. By the way, we need to say congratulations to the Harvicks on the birth of their son, Keelan, this week. But their race team did not go away entirely thanks to a rather unlikely combination of owner and drivers. Ray Dunlap has more.
In the heart of downtown Denver, you'll find 2-lane roads, American flags, a water tower, and Eddie Sharp Racing. No, not that Denver. This one, Denver of the East. Are we rolling?
Here we go. Let's do this deal.
To know Eddie Sharp and his gang, you must first know their beginnings and how they all met. Tell me about that day when you and your sister Brittany walked into Eddie's office and said, I'm a race car driver, I'm ready to go. He might have thought you were crazy.
Holy what? Oh, I thought we were crazy. I mean, I was 21 years old and my sister was 17.
She kind of was, you know, running the show.
I just sat there and was like, hey, I got a steering wheel.
This all came together at the end of '07.
So you met your current teammate in the ambulance?
Heavy front-end damage for Justin Lofton. Front-end damage also to Cale Gale.
Last year, we were running the Vegas race.
Next thing you know, it was just, bang.
He comes over there, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. You okay? Yeah.
Hey, I'm Justin. We're going to be teammates next year.
Yeah, that's kind of how it went.
Now that we're all acquainted, it's Eddie Sharp's turn. This is quite a facility you've got now, and you've got a first-class operation, great equipment, great people. You won an ARCA championship, so you've got a lot of accolades there, but this started a long time ago for you, right?
I've always had just this strong attraction to the racing world as a kid from, you know, riding in the woods with my dad on motorcycles. I'm going to race something. I don't care if it's shopping carts. I'm going to drive something. And I said, I got to try, Dad. I got to do this. And I said, I'm going to Charlotte. I got a chance to drive a Busch car, and I'm going to go see what I'm made of.
Follow your passion, and success will follow you.
When I stopped driving race cars and started doing this from crew chief into ownership, you know, I had to find other ways to get that fix. You know, it's hard. It was hard. You know, I loved driving race cars. I was never going to make a living driving a race car, so why
I've
fool
seen
myself?
You drive.
Yeah, easy. So
Leadership is action, not position.
I'm just one guy. I tell them all the time, I'm the name on the door only because somebody has to file the tax returns. But, you know, I'm nothing without everybody standing in this shop.
I think what Eddie has done and the way he's put himself in position to have success is what it takes in a sport.
He's really good, especially with me as being a mentor and being the father figure in the shop that you need, but at the same time being your best friend. He's the greatest owner you can work for, pretty much. Pretty much.
Justin Lofton is no rap star, but he is the star of ESR.
It was really cool to be able to win the championship for Eddie.
Justin Lofton will be your 2009 ARCA RE/MAX Series champion.
For me to be able to do that and do it in such a short time was really, really special.
What a great job by Justin Lofton. Another first-time winner.
This is amazing. I really don't even know what to do.
Winning Charlotte was very, very special. Honestly, it was the greatest feeling that I've experienced up from my ARCA championship.
You got a lot of other things going on, so tell me about a typical week in Justin Lofton's life.
A lot of times I go get on my mountain bike. Playtime's over. Time to get to work.
With the competitiveness of this series and where you guys have been running with this team right now, it appears you're there.
It's really not what I think, it's what your competitors think at the end of the day. You know, when people start going, we're going to have to beat the 6 truck, we're going to have to contend with the 33 truck, that's when I know I'm doing something right.
Is your team good enough to win this year?
I feel like we are. I don't want to set our goals too high and then let down, but obviously we just want to go out there and race, and whatever happens, happens.
If you make it to the next level, and if you make it up to the next level, will it be with Eddie Sharp?
There's 100% intentions that I would hope to be able to finish my career here.
And now you know. Good. Fantastic. The end.
While Lofton and Gale are focused on tonight, there is another show in another town. Tomorrow, NASCAR Race Day is a must-see. DW, The King, Jeff Gordon, Smoke, Rowdy, and more. NASCAR Race Day tomorrow at 10 Eastern, only on Speed. Coming up, it's been a tough year for farmers with the weather sure to affect this year's harvest, but that did not slow Rick Allen and others down. And we will all be put on the spot when it comes to our picks. Who was head of the class last race and who leads the standings? Those answers coming up. Drivers have said there's something special about coming to Iowa. The fans are enthusiastic and the energy is through the roof. The Iowa Speedway with great amenities and interaction with the drivers and the fans. Jason Leffler, one of the drivers, getting up close and personal during today's driver introductions. Welcome back to Iowa. Well, Leffler has finally found some luck with some solid finishes the last few weeks. And one of the guys he leans on knows all about this area. His truck chief, Davenport, Iowa native Mitch Way. He grew up less than 2 hours away. He's a dirt racer with over 200 plus wins to his own name. But then he packed his bags and moved to Charlotte to follow his dream.
I'm Mitch Way from Davenport, Iowa, truck chief and front tire carrier on the number 18 Kyle Busch Motorsports Toyota Tundra. My grandparents, my family, everybody in my family has always been involved in racing. Always been competitive, very competitive at everything I've ever done, whether it was running from one block to the next or on a bicycle or anything. I was always competitive. My very first win and very first race ever, grandfather told me just to go out and make laps, get a feel for the car, and see how I liked it, and I actually liked it very well. I was running second, kind of got tired of following him, made the pass, it worked, went on for the win.
In Mitch's case, having driven, I think it helps you better understand the inner workings of a race car, and you can relate to what the driver's saying sometimes.
I got hired by Rick Wren. I was very fortunate that never burned any bridges with anybody, and people talk very highly of me to Rick.
He was like the lead mechanic in 2010 when we won the championship. Mitch had really proved his desire to excel, and we kind of just threw him to the wolves and give him the opportunity.
My main job is setting up the trucks every week.
Eric Phillips, crew chief, gets with him, kind of gives him a setup sheet, what he wants, and then his job is to make sure that the race truck is prepared properly.
Mitch is really good. One of the better car chiefs I've had since I've been doing this. He's really detail-oriented, pays attention to detail. That's a huge part of his job.
Here at the racetrack, his job is to make all the changes that, crew chief calls out, but his job is also to manage the guys. He's a tire carrier as well, and I got to tell you, he's pretty good at that. He's pretty good about everything he does.
Along with Mitch, the 18 team also has Mike Jansen, the Sibley, Iowa native, is the rear changer. Not the only team with proud Iowans. Ty Dillon has 2 Iowans on board, Caleb Baker and Justin Voss. Timothy Peters with Dennis Croxall and Corey White. Todd Bodine's front tire changer, Ryan Mulder, has a mom who is a 2-time track champion. How about that? Well, I get a lot of attention for this race because I grew up just 2 hours away, but so did Rick Allen. Okay, yes, he's across the border in Nebraska, but this race also a bit of a homecoming for him, so he decided to take the term Cornhusker literally.
And when you come to the heartland of America, there's always got to be some type of a competition. And when everyone found out that I was a Cornhusker from Nebraska, they thought they could beat me at husking corn. So we have Joey Coulter, who is the driver of the RCR truck in the Camping World Truck Series. We've got Stan Clement, who's the president of Iowa Speedway, and then a Cornhusker that's ready to take these guys on. Here's what we have. We have 10 ears of corn in front of us. The first one to get all 10 of them husked is the winner. And we have Rocky here as our judge today, and he will give us the command to go. You guys ready? All right. 3, 2, 1, up the corn.
Looks like it's over.
What are you doing putting those in front of me?
Looks like I'm done, buddy.
How did that happen? 5, 7, 9, 10, 11. Hold on a second. We need a recount.
We may have to go to the holler.
You think?
Yeah.
I can't.
I don't want to go.
Being a Cornhusker, I'm a little bit disappointed that I wasn't able to out-husk the Iowa Hawkeye. But Stan, nice job. Joey, well done. It's all about competition when you come to the Heartland.
Yeah, I'm just glad to see Rick was wearing Hawkeye gold. Is that Rick Allen with his Cornhusker hat in the crowd? Rick, get to the booth. You've got a job to do. No shortage of corn here. And for dessert, be sure to tune in to Speed after the Sprint Cup race in Loudon for Victory Lane. The boys will break down the action from the Magic Mile. NASCAR Victory Lane immediately following the race right here on Speed. Speaking of magic, who will find it here in Iowa tonight? So many contenders in this race. We've talked about some of them. Who is picking whom, and do our picks match yours? Find out next. The setup is brought to you by Goodyear. Help Goodyear support our troops. Learn how at Goodyear.com. And waiting for the winner tonight, this. Ron Hornaday calls it pretty damn cool. The trophy lights up when plugged in. The American Ethanol theme played out with the vintage gas pump, but whose name will be on it? Well, that's the trophy for the drivers. This helmet is our trophy. The winner each week with their pick gets their face, their sticker right on the helmet. Now, sometimes we pick a winner, sometimes not so much.
My guy's going to the back, but I don't care. He's still going to beat y'all. Parker Kligerman's going to win this race.
He's starting on the front row. Nelson Piquet. I predict something very big tonight.
The caution comes out, and it is the big one.
I think experience is going to play a big role. I'd say Todd Bodine.
Casey Kane's won 3 of the 4 races he's been in and finished second in the other one. Come on! Casey Kane, the 4 goes to Victory Lane.
I don't like Ray's ugly mug up there beside my pretty one.
I'm going to pick Jason White.
Jason is going to win this race, but it's actually going to be Jason Leffler. They've had bad luck to start off the season. Today is when the season gets turned around.
Sounds like the 18 might be out of fuel.
He's been knocking on the door. I say James Busher gets both of us to Victory Lane today.
Johnny Sauter's going to turn it around right now.
No wonder your face isn't on that helmet, Phil. How do you not take Todd Bodine?
No trouble for Todd Bodine. Looks like he may have blown an engine.
I think James Busher is the winner here at Kentucky tonight. Now all of us are on the helmet, as it should be. Okay, it's time to check our fantasy standings. Ray, still in the lead, but look at how close this is. And I'm actually kind of getting sick of Ray starting to gloat. But I get to take a jab at him this week because I correctly picked the winner at Kentucky, James Busher. So I'm going to put my sticker right here next to Phil. Okay, so 2 of me, 1 of the boys, 2 of Hermie. Hermie, you go first.
Well, Krista, as you can tell, I'm really, really hurting in the fantasy standings. I was thinking about Johnny Sauter. Excuse me, sir. I was thinking about Johnny Sauter. I need an awesome fantasy pick tonight, and do you think you can get the job done for me tonight?
Hermie, if you pick me, you will have chosen wisely.
Well, that's all I need to hear. I got confirmation from my driver. What do you got, Michael Waltrip?
My fantasy pick is Kate Upton. Oh, no, wait, we're talking racing. I'm sorry. Matt Crafton. No doubt that Matt Crafton drives to victory lane tonight. I love his truck. His Thor Sport teammate, Johnny Sauter, is really strong as well, but I think Matt Crafton gets it done. Krista, can you go 2 in a row, win again?
Well, I think I can. I mean, the Thor Sport drivers are tough, but remember, the RCR drivers, they're good here too. I know a lot of people probably thinking Ty Dillon. I think the spotlight on him, too big. Go with the guy under the radar with American Ethanol on his truck, Joey Coulter. He was really good here last year. Why not? Phil?
Krista, I'm going to pick a guy that's only finished out of the top 10 one time this year. He's already won this year. He won at Charlotte. Justin Lofton is qualified 3rd. He will win this race. I will get my second picture on that helmet right next to Krista.
I don't know if there's room on the helmet for another one of your heads, because that picture is so big, because you got so much hope that you're going to win every race. And by the way, that fantasy pick by Michael, solid. That was a solid fantasy pick. If it wasn't for she doesn't drive in the truck series. I think the guy who goes to victory lane tonight is going to be Ty Dillon in the number 3. We've seen the number 3 go to victory lane here before in the truck series, and I think it's a repeat tonight. Ray?
Rick, right now is a very nice time to be Timothy Peters. This man has a 4-point lead in the championship. His beautiful wife, Sarah, is pregnant. He is on the pole tonight, and guess what? All of you chuckleheads left me the final pick. I've got the fastest guy on the racetrack, and Timothy Peters wins here at Iowa.
Timothy looking confident right over my shoulder. I like that. Hey, we mentioned those Thor Sport drivers. What about the 3rd Thor Sport driver, Dakota Armstrong? He was quick in practice. He turns 21 on Monday. Can you imagine the celebration if he were to win here tonight? It is a stacked field. It is hard to pick a winner. Ron Hornaday, don't forget about him. He's hoping to be posing in victory lane in just a couple of hours. It all gets started next.
After 7 different winners in the first 7 races, the Truck Series finally crowned its first repeat winner of the year.
It's going to be the 31, James Busher winning in Kentucky. Now, 2 Camping World Truck Series wins.
Already this season, 3 drivers have claimed their first career victory. Who will be next?
Ty Dillon out in front. He was ready to go. He's just lurking right there. I think that truck's really going to be a player.
As the trucks roll into America's heartland, the battle continues between the veterans and the young guns.
The different groove makes for fun racing.
Another 3 win.
Will the rookies come out on top?
We've got another first-time winner. Austin Dillon wins at Iowa.
Or will experience prevail?
Mike Skinner will win the first ever race at Iowa Speedway. Crafton will win in Iowa. Crafton gets his 2nd career win.
The American Ethanol 200 is live on Speed, and it starts right now.
The capital of Des Moines is Newton, Iowa, site of tonight's American Ethanol 200 live on Speed. When the Camping World Truck Series began, it was all short tracks, 15 of the 20 races. Now, just 5 short track races are on the schedule. This is number 2 on the season, and it will take place under the lights in Iowa. Drivers are used to hot and humid temperatures when you come to the Midwest. James Busher has been very hot, a hot streak, the only driver to win twice this year. But other drivers chomping at the bit to get to victory lane, like Timothy Peters. He is our points leader, but he has yet to win. He is riding consistency, and he's on the pole. Could tonight be his night? We keep things trackside for tonight's opening ceremonies for the American Ethanol 200 live on Speed.
Now, Iowa Speedway fans, to honor our country, please rise for the remainder of our opening ceremonies. We are thrilled tonight to have our colors presented by the Newton Fire Department. Now, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's invocation is presented by Iowa Speedway Ministries chaplain Aaron Laurie.
Let us pray.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful evening at the Iowa Speedway. We thank you for the great sport of the NASCAR Nationwide Series that you've brought here, the camping series. We just ask for a great evening, and we pray for every person that is here, our drivers, our pit crews, all the men and women who are here. Heavenly Father, we also ask that tonight you would be with the men and women who are serving America, who are fighting for our freedom all over the world. Protect them and guide them, we pray. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Now please remain standing as we continue to honor our country, and please join Greg Hellman in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
One driver told me anyone in the top 20 has a chance at winning any given week, meaning pick a driver, chances are he's got a shot. A wide open field racing in the shadow of America's wide open field tonight.
The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. By the all-new 252 horsepower Ford Focus ST. And by Goodyear. Help Goodyear support our troops. And welcome back to Newton, Iowa, as we're getting ready for short track racing. But the track might not know it's a short track. We'll talk dueling personalities, as well as one team has figured this racetrack out. Thor Sport. They have dominated Iowa the first three races. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip with you once again. Phil, we talk about a racetrack that has dueling personalities. It's a short track that maybe thinks it's a big track.
Yeah, we call this racetrack a short track because it's under a mile. In NASCAR terms, that's a short track. But when you go over 150 miles an hour on the straightaway, it races like a super speedway. But we also do some beating and banging here, too. So it races like a short track. So it doesn't know whether it's a short track or a super speedway. All I know is it has some great racing here.
Michael, the finishes by Thor Sport have been unquestioned.
Exactly. The average of those two trucks, Sauter and Crafton, top three every time they pull on the track. Crafting winning a year ago. Sometimes you just find a niche for a place. Obviously, their engineers have figured this place out. They're going to be hard to beat tonight. You talk to the guys in the garage area, it's about Thor Sports. These trucks are going to be strong. Johnny Sauter was a little bit loose in practice yesterday. No one was loose, just Johnny, but loose is fast here at Iowa because your truck wants to push off these turns. So look for those two trucks to be really solid all night long.
So the Thor Sport dominance taking place here at Iowa. But, Phil, you mentioned a little bumping and banging. Do you do that at 150 miles an hour when you're going into the turns?
Absolutely. Absolutely you do. And you have options at this racetrack. We talk about racetracks with options. You can run the bottom. They have progressive banking here. 12 degrees on the bottom, 14 up at the top. So you can go all over this racetrack. But if someone's in your lane, knock them out of the way.
It's short track race. It's getting a little physical up here. Let's go down and hear the command.
Iowa Speedway fans, it's time for the American Ethanol 200 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series event. And here with the most famous words in racing, the president and CEO of Green Plains Renewable Energy and American Ethanol partner, the president and CEO, Todd Becker. On behalf of American Ethanol, drivers, start your engines!
We call it short track racing, but it's high speeds at this short track. Buckle up. We got 200 laps coming up from Iowa. Welcome back under the lights. Short track racing from Newton, Iowa. The Iowa Speedway. This 7/8 mile racetrack has a very wide racing groove. You'll see side-by-side racing. We've heard drivers say it's a little bit more difficult to pass, but that means we're going to be side-by-side longer around this track. Here's the starting grid. Timothy Peters grabs his 5th career pole. Nelson Piquet Jr. will also start on the front row.
James Busher there in row number 2. 2 wins already this year. The only guy to do that.
Really strong trucks there. You saw Sauter. There's his teammate Matt Crafton. Hornaday's always good here as well.
Jason Leffler has a lot of success here in the Nationwide Series. A couple top 5 finishes.
Todd Bodine, Joey Coulter making up row 6.
Good qualifying effort for Paulie Haraka back there in row 7 with Parker Kligerman.
Ty Dillon uncharacteristically slow throughout the practices. It'll be interesting to see. This truck won a year ago. Can they get it squared away? Excuse me, Chase Crafton to the win, but Crafton was able to hold him on.
Saw Jeff Triquette there making his first ever Truck Series start.
Jeff Agnew, Jason White, row number 11.
Holman and Newberry in row 12. Back in row 13, Ryan Sieg, Travis Miller, another driver making his first start.
Brian Salas, longtime ARCA competitor, now runs here in the Camping World Truck Series.
John West Townley in a backup truck along with Dennis Setzer. Justin Jennings making a first start. Good qualifying effort for that team.
3 drivers in the field will all make their first ever Truck Series start. It happens right here at Iowa. Todd Schaefer, Jennifer Jo Cobb making up row number 18. 36 trucks, all 2x2, making their way around the Iowa Speedway before the green flag flies. Let's go down for final thoughts and Hermie Sadler.
Well, Rick, this weekend's on-track schedule worked out well for the teams. One practice yesterday, a night to think about it, another practice today prior to qualifying. Why? The tires. They still got plenty of grip, but Goodyear this time brought 1 1/2 inch less stagger than in years past. What did that mean? A lot of trouble getting these trucks to turn on this racetrack. A lot of hard work by a lot of teams to get these trucks dialed in tonight at Iowa. Ray?
Hermie, we've had a lot of different winners at this racetrack, and I'm not sure why, but I love it. That's for sure. In open wheel, 12 races, 11 different winners. When we look at stock cars, K&N Pro Series, 7 different winners. Last night, our 7th different winner in ARCA, 3 different winners in trucks. And if Matt Crafton doesn't win tonight, that streak will continue.
Riding along with a few different drivers, Michael, talk to us about this one.
Let's all squeeze these up in the top 10. Miguel Pluto starting 10th on the pole at Daytona.
We talk about Matt Crafton, how good he was. He won here last year. He starts his Toyota from the 7th spot.
Hop inside with Cale Gale here in the Ream Chevrolet. Getting better every week. It'll be fun to see if Cale can pull off a win here.
We'll watch this race with a pole sitter, Timothy Peters, and his Red Horse Racing Toyota starting from the pole.
We have had 7 different winners in the first 8 races of 2012. Who will get to victory lane tonight? Green flag in the air. We're underway at Iowa. Lofton with a great start, able to get by Nelson Piquet Jr. going into turn number 1, as well as that 31 of James Busher making the hard move up to 2nd.
During our qualifying show, Nelson Piquet Jr. said, I need to be a little bit better on the starts.
And right now, coming through turns 3 and 4, lap number 1, it will be your pole winner, Timothy Peters, leading the first lap.
How about 3 wide down into turn 1 on a short track? That's how they do it here in Iowa. You can see how high up the track Nelson Piquet runs, while Matt Crafton and those guys run up high. You saw Johnny Sauter tucked right down on the white-yellow line in the turns.
Johnny Sauter working that yellow line down through 3 and 4. Trying to make his way up to the front, currently in the 5th spot. Timothy Peters, Busher, Lofton, Piquet Jr.
Sauter, Hornaday, Crafton, Cale Gale, Jason Leffler, and Joey Coulter, your top 10.
Crafton's using that high side as well. Tries to pull on the outside of Ron Hornaday. Not able to do it that corner.
But you can see the momentum he gains by running up higher on the racetrack. That's why these guys love this track so much. You can get your truck working well down on the bottom, but if you move up high, keep the momentum up, maybe make a move on the outside.
Busher all over the back bumper of Timothy Peters. Those two racing for the front. Peters has the position. Busher looking to the inside now as he challenges for the lead.
Guys, we've talked about the big bump down there in 1 and 2 over the tunnel. We've always talked about that. All the drivers in the garage here say they fixed that. They actually jacked that area of the racetrack up. They said most of the drivers don't even mention it anymore.
Side by side for position back behind their Thor Sport teammate Dakota Armstrong in the 98, moving by that 97 of Jeff Triquette.
But look at that truck of James Busher. You're able to work low on the racetrack. That's got to be an advantage, and he is good low.
Into the wall. Brendan Newberry in the 14 gets turned around, brings out our first caution. So early on in this one, and we could almost expect it, as much side-by-side racing as we've seen early in this race.
Keep an eye on this. You see he gets a little bit loose underneath Tim George. Tim gives him some room. They make contact, but unfortunately around Brendan Newberry goes. A lot of damage to the left rear corner of that 14 truck.
And that's where you fuel these trucks. This was just a bit earlier.
Watch Choquette. He gets a little bit loose right there, has to correct and runs into Dakota Armstrong, allowing David Starr to make the move. Choquette eventually gets around Armstrong without running into him.
14 of Brendan Newberry is able to make it back to pit road, but a lot of damage to that left rear of this truck. They're going to put tires on it. You see the baseball bat already going over. They'll try to move some of the sheet metal away from the tires. We'll be back for the restart. Welcome back. First caution coming out for Brendan Newberry, spinning, getting into the wall, as we had just completed 5 laps of the American Ethanol 200. Coming down pit road was the 3 of Ty Dillon. Hermie, what was going on?
Well, Rick, they've been struggling with this truck this entire weekend. They took advantage of this caution. He's too loose through the center and under acceleration. They came in, inserted a spring rubber into the left rear spring to give that tire more spring rate and lowered the track bar on the right side and got him back on the racetrack, but he lost a lot of track position.
This will be an interesting night to follow that team's trail, because it's a championship contending team, and he's got a tough track here to battle with an ill-handling truck.
Yeah, we look at the Goodyear track description. We talk about this being a short track that races like a super speedway.
Yeah, very, very fast speeds. But you see the banking in the corners, 12 to 14 degrees. That promotes side-by-side and 3-wide racing.
Royal Purple Race Analysis, 36 trucks, and they can go side-by-side. And we've seen it 3-wide as well already.
Run 80 or 90 laps on a tank of fuel, so some strategy could come into play later this evening.
We'll see how the restarts play out now as they come out of turn number 4. It's still the 17 of Timothy Peters. Green flag back in the air. This time it was another Turner Motorsports truck that started on the inside, and James Busher has rocketed to the front, right in front of that 17 of Timothy Peters.
Hard through the center of the corner in 1 and 2, emerged in front of Timothy Peters.
Nelson Piquet Jr. trying to hold on to third as he's got Justin Lofton in the 6 underneath, battling for that position.
Ron Hornaday, a really fast truck early in the going here, drives up on the outside of Justin Lofton. I like the way this truck looks in the turn. Ron's really aggressive down into the turn.
Didn't leave Justin much room there to get in the corner.
That time we saw Timothy Peters choosing the outside line. Is he going to rethink that, as we saw James Busher on the inside take the lead away from him on the restart?
He took it on the initial start as well from the outside.
But James is just faster, Rick. You put him side by side, and he's able just to run through that corner harder than Timothy. He had a better truck, so I don't know if it would have mattered where Timothy picked. James beside him, James is probably going to grab the spot.
Looking back off Timothy Peters' truck.
You hear him working the gas up off turn. That's why he's almost into the outside wall. The thing looks like it's a little bit pushy. The front end won't turn on the exit of the turn, and he about got the outside wall.
Now Nelson Piquet Jr. looking to the inside. You see side by side for position. Johnny Sauter trying to take it away from Justin Lofton. Those two side by side as they go through the front stretch and into turn 1.
Remember, speeds upwards of 150 miles an hour as they fall up in to the turns here.
Now you saw right there, Johnny Sauter tried to get aggressive and make the move on Lofton. He got sideways. The truck on the outside is robbing the air off of Johnny Sauter's truck. He needs to lean on that air to make the move. Couldn't lean on it, got loose, and now he's going to lose a position to his teammate Matt Crafton.
He lost the momentum, and that momentum took all the way down the backstretch. Crafton able to pull up beside him. Johnny's going to fight back on the outside, but Crafton has the spot.
So Crafton takes the position away from his teammate, moves up into 6. Sauter back to 7. Leffler, Coulter, and Kligerman rounding out your top 10.
You can see as Sauter and Crafton battled, Lofton wasn't able to get away from him. So that tells you that both those trucks are a little bit better than Justin right now. Probably will be just a matter of a lap or so till you see Crafton make the move on Lofton.
We talk about the pit window being anywhere from 80, 85, 90 laps. How long will the tires hold up? As far as, will you be able to see a big change in the fall off of speeds because of tires?
I think that's why you look at strategy. These guys will have to see this is a new tire. They're dealing with an unknown. So as we race through this race, can they get 2 tires late in the race, maybe under a green flag situation, or even a late caution? Do you come in and grab some tires? These guys are going to be learning as we go along.
Yeah, we just heard Miguel Paludo. They're getting in and out of the gas.
Dakota Armstrong able to get by him, as well as the 81 of David Starr. A lot of the guys in the garage here, crew chiefs, were talking about this left side tire being so hard. The right side tire, remember they had some issues in the nationwide race here a couple months ago with the right side tires. They brought a different tire here, and the guy said the left side tires are really, really hard, and that's making the right side tires work even harder.
You know, this is a big night for Dakota Armstrong. He was really fast all through practice. He's made the move around Paludo. He's gotten around David Starr. He just needs to be patient and be smart. He's got a great truck. He can keep that thing from getting loose up underneath someone as he races on the inside of Todd Bodine there now. He could just persevere all night long. This could be a good night for him.
Dakota's a solid top 15 finisher. He's done that several times here lately.
This could be a night where he steps it up into the top 10 easily and maybe even race for a top 5.
He's had a top 5 truck through the first couple days we've been here in Iowa, so we'll see if he can capitalize on that good equipment and get a good finish for him this evening. It's still James Busher out in front. Now he has a 1.7 second lead over Timothy Peters running second. Nelson Piquet Jr., Ron Hornaday, Justin Lofton are your top 5. Crafton, Sauter, Leffler, Coulter, Kligerman your top 10. There's the gap from that lead truck all the way back to Timothy Peters running second.
That lead truck is stout. We've said that a few times this year, huh? A couple of wins for James. The only guy to win multiple races this year.
Remember last year contended for the championship right down to the very last race, and that was after missing a race early in the year at Phoenix, but was in the title fight till the very last race at Homestead.
James Busher looking strong now. Look at Jeff Triquette in that 97 trying to make the move on Miguel Paludo.
Trying to bring Jason Light. You see Jason Light right behind him there in the gunbroker.com number 23. He's trying to make his way around Chiquette while Chiquette tries to race his way around Paludo. That's what happens at a short track. You get on an agenda of racing the guy ahead of you. Next thing you look in your mirror and there's somebody racing you. Tight quarters here at Iowa.
Tight quarters and high speeds. Continuing to click off laps right around 24 seconds flat. The pole was right at about 23 seconds flat, so not a lot of fall off after 21 laps complete of this race.
Remember, completely different conditions. Now those guys were qualifying high air pressure, a lot of tape on the front of those trucks for maximum downforce. Now they've got all the tape off. Air pressure's down real low when they started. It's building up now, but they're still running very, very fast compared to what race trim normally is.
Busher, Peters, Piquet, Hornaday, and Lofton, your top 5. 2 and 3 wide from the drop of the green flag, and it's been James Busher out in front with a dominant performance early in Iowa. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway. The sun about to go behind the grandstands here for the American Ethanol 200. We've completed 29 laps of 200, now 30, and out in front of the field is the 31 of James Busher. Didn't start up front, but after the last restart, he was able to power by the 17 of Timothy Peters and take over that top spot. We're going to drop through the field. Talking about James Busher out in front. He's already won twice this year in the Truck Series, but he's also got a win to start the season in the Nationwide Series from Daytona.
As you can see, our pole sitter Timothy Peters in that Red Horse Toyota right now running second. Talked to his crew chief Butch Hilton in the garage area. He said, we need more bonus points. We've only got 2 bonus points this entire season coming into the night, and they're leading the points by 4. They already have 1 tonight. He said, we need wins. You get more bonus points for wins.
Let's check out Nelson Piquet Jr. What a great run he had up at Road America, winning the nationwide race a couple of weeks ago. Talked to him just a week ago, and he's talking about how much fun he's having racing this truck. He wants to be a truck racer for now. I think his goals are is cup racing one day, but for now he's enjoying racing the truck, and he's fast too. Had the race done at Rockingham, he could have won that baby, and that was early in the season. So he'll just get better and better every week.
Back in the 4th spot, the 9 of Ron Hornaday. And he has been looking for victory lane once again in 2012. His best finish this year has been 5th. And amazingly enough, it was at Charlotte. Of the active drivers, he has the most short track wins of any driver. So Ron Hornaday looking to get back to victory lane.
Right along with the 6 truck right there, Justin Lofton. New sponsor on board that Chevrolet, JD High School and Company Chevrolet for Eddie Sharp Racing. Justin comes in here right now in second in the points, only 4 points behind Timothy Peters. Has a good run going so far, running 5th.
My fantasy pick rides along in the 6th spot. That's Matt Crafton. We saw him battling with Johnny Sauter earlier. Was right on the tailgate of Justin Lofton. Justin separated himself a little bit from Matt, but this is a truck I picked to win tonight. Won here a year ago. Did an amazing job holding off Austin Dillon to win that race, and loves this racetrack. His teammates right behind him, Rick.
Yeah, Johnny Sauter running just behind Crafton in the 7th spot. And Johnny Sauter battled for the championship in 2011, fell just a bit short to Austin Dillon. And then they changed manufacturers in the offseason, and we wondered if that would be a question. Well, Johnny Sauter struggled through the beginning part of the year, but he looks as though he's turned it around. He got a win at Texas, and his last finish at Kentucky, a top 10 in 6th.
Let's take a look at the 18 truck, the Shore Lodge Toyota for Jason Leffler. Jason and this Kyle Busch Motorsports team have really turned the season around. Last 3 times out, all top 8 finishes. A lot of success here at this racetrack for Jason Leffler. A couple top 5 finishes in Nationwide Series as he makes the move to trucks full time for 2012.
How about let's check on Joey Coulter. Joey's running this Richard Childress Chevrolet. He's been solid. 3 top 10 finishes in the last 4 starts. Harold Hawley tells me that this kid gets it. He knows how to take care of his stuff. He knows how to go fast. That's evident tonight running inside the top 10.
And running in that 10th position, just behind Joey Coulter, the 29 of Parker Kligerman. Parker Kligerman currently 5th in the point standings as we see a battle for the lead heating up. James Buescher out in front of Timothy Peters. That gap has closed quickly. Buescher had almost a 2-second lead over Timothy Peters, and now that gap is gone. And Peters battling on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to take the lead away.
That's a role reversal. Before when we saw these cats, James like the bottom, Timothy the top, and now it looks like Timothy has found the groove down on the bottom of the racetrack and is closing in. I like that line. Puts those left side tires right down on the yellow line. That helps the truck turn. He's able to get the gas down hard and drive up beside Buescher.
There he goes, moving to the inside as they go through 1 and 2. Now he's got some slower lap trucks that are going to cause him a little bit of problems if he wants to run that lower line, because it looks as though that's where John West Townley in the 09 also wants to run.
See, a little bit over 30 laps is how long it took Timothy Peters to try to chase down James Buescher. We've talked about James with a couple-second lead, and all of a sudden that evaporated. Looks like James's truck has gone away just a little bit, and Timothy's is staying the same or coming on.
Side by side for the lead, coming up on the slower lap traffic. Buescher still has the lead. Timothy Peters tucks in behind him as they go to 3 and 4.
James says, I think I got me a couple of picks up here if I can hold him off for another quarter or 2. And Timothy didn't have anything to do with it. Talked about those bonus points at team points. I think Timothy understands how bad they want them.
Again, the 09 of John West Townley goes way low and way up the racetrack. Travis Miller looks like he was trying to get out of the way, but maybe got up there in the loose stuff and lost the handle of that truck.
Timothy able to make that pass on James Buescher. Now we'll see if he's able to drive away from James Buescher as quick as he caught that 31 truck. I got to believe that he can drive away from him.
Looking very strong. Timothy Peters winning the pole here earlier today, and now back out in front.
He better drive away from him, because here comes Nelson Piquet. He's driving up to the back of the second place truck.
His teammate James Buescher trying to hold off Nelson Piquet Jr. now. So Timothy Peters in front of the field at Iowa.
Formula.
Caution.
Welcome back. Caution coming out. Just got into the wall. The 5 of Pauly Haraka. Looks as though potentially a right front tire going down.
Yeah, it does. Pauly had a great run going. He was running in the 12th spot, had a good qualifying effort. Solid run last time out of Kentucky. This is one of the racetracks, probably the only racetrack that he goes to that'll have some experience. He ran here with the K&N Pro Series West Division. A lot of damage to that 5 truck.
Yeah, he was running 12th when this happened. We're going to take a peek at it a little bit a distance away.
Look, we're way out in front of the Miguel Paludo truck we're riding along with.
See the sparks? That's a right front failure into the outside wall. Pretty hard contact as well. So probably the end of the night for that team.
Yeah, we've been watching the telemetry over 150 miles an hour. There it is. They're making that significant contact over 150. 120 in the center of the corner.
Look at the damage. Right front tire not turning.
Just along for the ride. Once that tire goes down, just along for the ride. But had to have, had a good truck because it was running on 12th, as we mentioned. So undoubtedly may have run over something.
This is a timely caution for Ty Dillon. That team was struggling. He hadn't made any progress at all up through the field. Needs to work on that truck some more.
Pit road will stay closed because they're waiting for Paulie to be able to get his truck off of pit road.
Makes his way back into the garage area. And as you mentioned, so much damage to the right front of that truck, probably terminal. Field tucks in behind the pace car here at Iowa Speedway as they check out the safer barriers and make sure to pick up any of the debris that was left after that 5 got into the wall. Timothy Peters was able to get back out in front of Buscher. He's running second. Nelson Piquet Jr. third. Hornaday fourth. Lofton is fifth. And Michael, I know you've been talking up here in the booth, but it seems as though people are keeping track of what you're saying on Twitter as well. Samantha Bush, it's NASCAR Trucks Race Night. Any masks or facial ideas for Michael Waltrip Racing? What happened there?
Well, I think she was in a mask one night watching.
And tweeted a picture, didn't she?
Of her doing that. So I sent out a picture on my Twitter of my wardrobe tonight, which includes no shoes. And so maybe she's thinking I could use some wardrobe and facial help.
I think you're doing fine. Pit road is open. The field making their way to you, Hermie.
Well, Ron Hornaday, the good news, he likes the way his truck is driving. The bad news, the water temperature gauge is buried on this number 9 truck. He got trash on the grill. They're going to have to clean the grill, take some tape off. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. Ray?
James Buscher brings his Occudac Solutions Chevrolet here. He's very, very free. They're going to put a rubber in and also air pressure. This could be a fairly long pit stop. We'll keep an eye on the amount of time. In the middle of your screen, you see Nelson Piquet Jr. They're making an adjustment there on the track bar. And on the very front, on the right, you see the number 1 pit stall goes to Timothy Peters. Timothy Peters very happy with the way his truck is on entry. They'll drop the jack. The 17 will roll off first.
Good use of that number 1 pit stall to get Timothy Peters out front. They held serve.
Yeah, James Buscher also able to hold on to that second spot. Everybody coming off of pit road about the same except for the ThorSport guys. We saw Johnny Sauter take a spot away from his teammate Matt Crafton. Stay with us. Green flag coming back out. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed brought to you by Camping World. Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. By the all-new 252 horsepower Ford Focus ST. And by Goodyear. Help Goodyear support our troops.
A lot of folks here at the Iowa Speedway field, great crowd on hand, and talk about the Good Sam Club. There's a lot of motor homes around this place too. I'm sure all enjoying the comfort of having Good Sam Club on their side. We got us a lucky dog here, Tim George Jr. in the Appleby Chevy. He's going to get a lap back courtesy of Aaron's. Hey, Phil, we saw Timothy get a bad restart earlier. Let's listen in and having him explain to his crew chief, Butch Hilton, what is exactly going on.
With our ratio that we have set up, 3rd to 4th, you wind 3rd to 86 shift like opposed to the drop back's too much, but I don't know. We're not in our torque pattern right there, if that makes any sense, or power band, whatever.
Yes, sir, it does. Write that up there, Craig, and we'll work on that for next time we come back here in the fall.
If I'm him, that drop back will kill you. I'm going to 9,000. Yep. Run that thing. Wherever the chip's at, run to the chip and then shift, because you can't win the race if somebody jumps on one of these late restarts.
Let's see how Buscher and Peters do on the restart. Green flag back in the air. Timothy Peters on the outside once again. Buscher on the inside. This time it's Timothy Peters that's able to move down in front of the 31 as they go into turn 1.
I think he ran that restart a little bit faster than he had the previous 2 restarts, and it worked for him.
That's what you call adjusting on the fly, and it's cool. As crew chief says, it makes perfect sense. We get it. We'll write it down. That gives them the confidence to say, okay, I'm not going crazy out here. I'm not making excuses for not getting the lead on that last restart, and he went and did his job.
We talked about only 5 short tracks or short track races of the 22 race schedule. Well, 2 of them are right here. So what they're learning now, they can bring back to the race later this year.
How about Ron Hornaday that takes over that second spot from James Busher? James was all over the tailgate of Hornaday down in 1 and 2. Now he's opened up about a truck length, but Sauter goes to the outside of Busher.
Here comes Sauter trying to take third away from James Busher as they go to turn number 1.
His team did a great job, gained him a spot, got around his teammate. Look what he's been able to parlay that into. He's driven around a couple more trucks.
Remember, this is the first opportunity these crew chiefs had to adjust on these trucks. It looks like maybe Joe Shear Jr. with that 13 truck of Sauter may have made it better, at least on the early going anyway.
Sauter's moved up to the 3rd spot. His teammate Matt Crafton is still running in the 6th position, and Dakota Armstrong just outside the top 10 in 12. How about Nelson Piquet Jr. fighting that truck, trying to keep it going straight?
Remember, they just put 4 tires on, so low air pressure right now for these trucks. It'll take a few laps to build that air pressure up.
Crafton trying to take the spot away from Nelson Piquet Jr. Moves to the inside as they go down in front of the grandstands here at Iowa.
Truck on the outside can drive it in hard like Piquet did. Crafton not able to clear him that time.
And a good run off of turn number 2 for Nelson Piquet Jr. Now he's able to fight back in that high line. Again, we talk about the progressive banking, a little bit more banking up toward the top of the racetrack.
Crafton able to stay right with him. Pulls even with him at the end of the front straightaway.
These two continue to fight for that 5th spot. It looks as though Crafton's going to take it away from Nelson Piquet Jr. James Busher drops back to the 4th spot. We see Jason Leffler.
Oh, sideways. He's going to spin out.
Around goes the 18 of Leffler right in front of the field.
Check up. It's in turn 4. Check up, check up, check up. Middle to racetrack.
Everyone stays clear.
That's just your classic on the inside. Get a little bit loose, slide up the hill, make a little contact, and around Jason Leffler went. The progressive banking gave him the opportunity to cut in on the inside. Didn't have enough bank to hold his truck straight, though. Check it out.
These guys have been running side by side for a number of laps.
And you've documented it, Phil. You made the comment, this is a short track that races like a super speedway. We always talk about this on the 1.5 miles and the big tracks where the guy on the inside can get loose. What's happening here on a short track?
Exactly. If this was Martinsville, a true short track, that probably doesn't happen.
Right.
No, you just run into each other. They bounce off the other guy and keep on going. But the speeds are just so great. Watch ahead. A little bit loose up the hill and around he goes.
Yeah, just a simple situation of losing that air on the spoiler. They're running 120 miles an hour in the center of the corner. That's fast.
Look at these guys react. Hoping that truck doesn't shoot down across the apron.
Veteran Jason Leffler able to keep it off of the walls and move it the right direction. Welcome back. Great crowd on hand here at Iowa Speedway. And Aaron's giving away another lap. They continue to do it.
They'll give you a lap back on your credit, too, if you need it.
Caleb Holman is going to get a lap back in that 75. So he will be back on the lead lap. That makes 23 trucks on the lead lap. Tomorrow, you do not want to miss NASCAR Race Day. It is must-see TV. DW, the King, and Jeff Gordon. They're going to explain why driver-crew chief relationships are so critical. Plus Smoke Rowdy, the Rocket Man, and Sliced Bread. I love our nicknames here in NASCAR. They're also going to join live NASCAR Race Day, fueled by Sunoco from New Hampshire tomorrow, 10 Eastern, only on Speed. Herbie, what's happening?
Well, Rick, the 18 of Jason Leffler came to pit road, and if you saw him spin on the racetrack, you may think that truck is too loose, but it is not. It is too tight. They put 4 tires on it, added a half pound of air pressure to the right rear. More good news for the 18 team was that NASCAR granted this team 4 additional tires because the last 4 that he spun with were flat spotted. Ray?
Hermie, when I look back at my records of the first 3 races here at this track, the first pit stop for most of the good trucks came between laps 65 and 77. We're right in that window now, but our first pit stop actually already came at lap 51. Second round of pit stops traditionally are between 105 and 115. So guys, it's going to have a little different strategy and a little different flavor to tonight's race. And just a couple more numbers for you. Typically we have 5 lead changes and approximately 7 cautions.
This is a problem. Chris Fontaine not moving on the racetrack now as he sits in turn 1 and the field working its way by him.
It could be a NASCAR
mandated stop there for Chris, but See him, he's rolling again.
Might have got a lap ahead of the field somehow during the caution flag.
A little eager, maybe.
He wasn't going to wait around for Aaron's to give him a lap back.
He was just going to take it.
I'll go ahead and get mine.
Didn't get away with it, though.
Right
No.
now, that 84 scored 1 lap down.
The eye in the
Actually,
sky
2.
will get you every time.
Timothy Peters has Ron Hornaday, an acknowledged restart master, on his inside. We saw him do a nice job getting the top spot away from James Busher, or keeping James Busher behind him as he got to turn 1 on that last restart. See what he does with Hornaday.
And once again, Timothy Peters has chosen the outside line for the restart.
The last time it worked perfect, but man, Hornaday had a great start right behind Peters there and drove up to the second spot. It'd be interesting to see if Hornaday can work his magic again. He's down on the bottom.
Timothy Peters on the high side, another great restart for the 17. And he's able to stay in front of that 9 of Hornaday. Now to the outside, battling for second. Here comes James Busher, side by side and around the 9 for second.
James Busher did the exact same thing to Ron Hornaday that Ron Hornaday did to him on the previous restart.
So Hornaday drops back to 3rd. Johnny Sauter in 4th. Back there in 5th, Nelson Piquet Jr.
I'm going to say that kind of move right there tells everybody you want that outside on these restarts. Although earlier Peters got beat, but I think he's got that figured out now, and you'll see most of the leaders probably pick that outside.
I'm like you. I think he revved it up a little bit more there in 3rd gear, waited a little bit longer to shift, and it worked out well for him.
Back here for position, Miguel Paludo on the inside, Dakota Armstrong on the outside. Those two fighting for the 11th spot.
There's Ty Dillon. He's trying to make his way back up towards the front. He works to the outside of Miguel Paludo. Ty right now is being shown in the 13th position. That's his highest spot he's been in this entire race.
Yeah, he was stuck back in 18th or 19th before this last adjustment, so that team has made some progress for sure. And this is how you race for a championship. We saw trucks get damaged and fight their way back to a top 10 finish. And we see Ty Dillon in a truck tonight that is not what he's used to. It's loose, it isn't handling right. It'll be interesting to see how well that young man and that team with championship experience can overcome the problems.
You know, we interviewed Tim George before the race, and he talked about his teammates going a different direction. Ty Dillon came with the setup that Austin had to win here 2 years ago and to finish second last year, and they completely went away from that setup, and that's what's in that truck right now.
Herman, what's the attitude with that team now?
Well, I think they're getting there, Rick. On a scale of 1 to 10, they're about 5, halfway where they need to be. Now, Mike Dillon is spotting for his son, Ty Dillon. You have to remember, he's in P13 right now. He restarted 31st position after he pitted on lap 6. So they're gaining progress, making progress, but I think they still know they do not have a winning truck yet. So more work to do for Ty Dillon. Ray?
Right behind him, Ernie, that number 81 is David Starr. That is the Zachary Toyota Tundra. And David Starr making his 299th start tonight here at Iowa. Next week at Chicago would be his 300th. That is if he's able to get there. We've got a good battle for the lead up front as the number 31 of Busher is going to look under the 17 of Peters. I think he may have that position. Back to David Starr quickly. The big question mark is whether or not he's going to get to Chicago. They may not. They don't have a sponsorship right now. It's a big question mark. Busher regains the lead.
Yeah, right. That 31 powered underneath the 17 of Timothy Peters. So now James Busher back out in front. These two trucks are fairly equally matched tonight. They have battled back and forth. Timothy Peters has led laps. James Busher has led laps. Running 1 and 2 on the racetrack now. Hornaday, Sauter, Crafton rounding out our top 5.
It looked like Timothy Peters was fighting a little bit loose there as he was trying to hold off James Busher, especially at the exit of turn number 4.
Well, if he's a little bit loose now, we saw him really come on strong at the end of that last green flag run and grab the lead. If he is loose now, that truck will probably tighten up as the fuel burns off and the tires heat up. So he could have the same situation where the truck comes to him. He's able to run Busher back down.
Hoping for longer green flag runs is what the 17 team is looking like right now. As we see David Starr look to the inside.
He's up underneath Miguel Paludo. Ty Dillon made his way around Miguel the last lap. Jason Leffler, who spun out to bring out the most recent caution, is now racing his way back, trying to race around David Starr on the outside.
See Zachary on the hood of that 81 of David Starr.
Looked like Jason Leffler was going to go to the inside. David Starr looked like he saw that and turned left to stop his advance.
Top 3 right now separated by about 1 second. Busher, Peters, and Hornaday. And then the battles for position back behind them.
You see there, Ty Dillon back on the inside, back on the attack underneath Joey Coulter. These trucks run all the way up to the 6th spot. Parker Kligerman leads this group, and that's 6th spot just up ahead. So really tight racing just outside the top 10 here.
These two are teammates as well out of the RCR stables. So Joey Coulter on the high side, Ty Dillon on the inside.
I like the progress they made with this 3 truck. He's looking really good. Another truck that's made a lot of progress today is the one I talked about leading that group, Parker Kligerman. Man, he didn't like his truck at all last night in practice, nor today. The team worked on it, changed around. A really good start to this race for Parker. You see him there in Brad Keselowski's number 29 truck. Brad won today. A little momentum from that victory for the team. And now Parker has driven up to the 6th spot.
Yeah, something they did. They made some wholesale changes to that truck for qualifying. And that truck obviously liked it because I'm like you. I was talking to his crew and they didn't have any idea where they were going to be. So we've changed just about everything.
Parker Kligerman starting this race in the 14th position. And that 21-year-old has worked his way up into the top 10, currently running 7. Side by side, bumping and banging, short track racing. And once again, it's the 31 of James Busher out in front of the field.
Tomorrow, immediately following the Sprint Cup race from New Hampshire, turn to speed for comprehensive post-race coverage on NASCAR Victory Lane. JR, Kenny Wallace, and Jeff Hammond celebrate with the winner and break down the biggest moments from the Magic Mile. NASCAR Victory Lane, immediately following the race, right here on Speed. High fives all around the booth.
Of course.
As
well
I read
done.
that successfully.
High fives all around the 31 team right now as they are setting a blistering pace. Timothy Peters now 0.8 of a second behind. But we've seen this before. James Busher has gotten out front, but then when he caught the slower lap traffic, that 17 was able to reel him back in and get by. We'll see if Busher has a better handling truck now.
I just love these truck races, Rick. In the top 6, last time by, Busher ran a 24.23. Down in 6th spot, PK Jr., 24.21. He was faster than our leader, and that's the kind of competition you deal with. This truck here of Timothy Peters, he wasn't good on the start, but he's starting to rally now. He's gaining back the ground that he lost to Busher, so you never know how these things are going to play out.
Good battle right here. There's Parker Kligerman. We talked about him a few moments ago. He runs 7th. There's Cale Gale and his teammate Justin Lofton, 8th and 9th.
And right behind them, we talked about Dakota Armstrong just having a good, solid truck and making the most of this night, not making any mistakes and getting the finish that he well deserves after 2 great practice sessions here in Iowa. He's running inside the top 10 and looking for more.
Riding along with Cale Gale. We look forward. Gale currently running in the 9th position. We talked about the speeds as they go through the turn. That time down to about 115 miles an hour, so carrying a lot of speed through the turns here at this 7/8 mile racetrack.
About 40 laps since these guys put tires on. There's a good battle. Leffler trying to get by David Starr. David Starr's making it extremely difficult on him to do that.
And Leffler's making it extremely obvious to Starr that he wants to do that. Crowded him up the racetrack a little bit and took that spot away.
I think Jason Leffler is saying, okay, I chased you down. We ran side by side for several laps. We're not doing anything but hurting each other.
But in the trucks, they don't communicate like that.
They don't communicate.
I'm going to race you as hard as I can. This race is short. I can't give this spot up. And that's why people love the truck racing so much. Ty Bodine has now driven up under the tailgate of David Starr, and he's going to play just as rough with him as we saw Leffler.
It's the 97 of Jeff Choquette running behind them. What a great weekend it's been for Jeff. His debut here in the Camping World Truck Series. Solid weekend.
What a great story this is to come in. A short track racer come in here, and now he's competing with champion like Ty Bodine and a guy that's been in the truck series forever in David Starr. He's right on their bumpers.
Choquette, the 25-year-old out of West Palm Beach, Florida. And as you mentioned, making his first start, battling very well with some of the veterans here in the series. As we see the side-by-side racing here, Justin Lofton on the inside, Kligerman on the outside.
Is that a little bit reminiscent of 2009 in the ARCA Racing Series when these guys battled down to the last lap of the last race of the season over a championship that was decided by 5 points?
1 position separated those two for the championship, and right now they're door to door.
Closer than that right now.
Fighting for that same position. 7th and 8th on the racetrack. Cale Gill has a pretty good seat watching these two battle. Jeff Choquette working to the inside of that 11 of Todd Bodine.
See Jeff giving Todd plenty of room.
Michael, you talked about how you've got to be up on the wheel and race aggressively in the Truck Series. That's because we're already up at the halfway point. We're a lap away from lap 100 of a 200 lap race. It goes very quickly.
Look at Choquette using that bottom line to stay as far away from Todd Bodine as he possibly can. He doesn't know a whole lot about aero loose, but he knows it'll bite you in the rear end. And if that truck gets too close to Todd, he can get loose. And I love the job that these two are doing racing together. Jeff's going to get the spot, but he's very respectful of Todd and it kept his truck really low.
And Todd gave him plenty of room as well. He had a couple lanes in between them, as you see the halfway signal.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to point out. Todd Bodine raced him as clean as we've seen anyone race on the racetrack. He gave him plenty of room and allowed Jeff Choquette to be able to take the spot, but he didn't give it to him. He made him race for it.
That 17 truck's coming, Michael, like you were talking about. It likes some laps on the tires and some fuel burn out of that truck.
The later in the run, Timothy Peters is strong. James Busher has been the dominant one in this one as he's been out in front for 68 laps. Coverage of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil brand. Mobil 1. And by Ram Trucks. Guts. Glory. Ram. Right now, all the glory going to the 31 of James Busher as he continues to work his way through the slower lap traffic. That has enabled the 17 of Timothy Peters to reel him back in, but it's the 31 that's out front, Ray.
And Rick, we were about 45 laps into this race when James Busher started saying that his right front didn't feel like it was into the racetrack. They pitted on lap 51 and added a rubber into the right rear. But Busher is starting to say he's getting that same feeling. He said it just doesn't feel like the right front is into the track. Now, he's been up on the top side of the track, but as crew chief Michael Shelton said, it looks like you're faster off the corner down on the bottom. He's asking for more information. He said, I can see that 17's getting closer in the mirror.
They just worked their way around Ross Chastain, put Ross a lap down. First truck a lap down, so if the caution were to come out, he would be the recipient of the Aaron's Lucky Dog, and he's running solid, but these leaders are just setting that kind of a hectic pace.
It only leaves 19 trucks right now on the lead lap.
Jason White running in the 19th position now. He's completed 111 laps. James Busher, Timothy Peters, Ron Hornaday, Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton, your top 5. And it's Nelson Piquet Jr., Justin Lofton, Parker Kligerman, Cale Gale, and Ty Dillon.
We talk about how competitive things are. The 5th, 6th, and 7th place trucks were the fastest trucks on the track that last lap. Not the leaders, not the guys putting guys a lap down. Guys running back in 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Justin Lofton was the fastest truck that last lap at a 24.21.
That's the second lap in a row that he's been that guy, so that truck is starting to come to him. The track's probably changing a little bit right now, Phil. The sun has probably been down long enough now where the track temperature is going down, so your truck could be going through a bit of a transition, Hermie.
Well, Michael, the 9 truck of Ron Hornaday is settled in and is running lap times very similar to the 31 and the 17. The problem that they have is that Ron Hornaday was too loose in the first 10 to 15 laps when they dropped the green flag. So now he and Jeff Hensley have started to talk about what they're going to have to do on this next pit stop for the 9 truck to take off a little bit better because they're giving up too much track position on the short run.
And that's uncharacteristic of Ron Hornaday on restart to give up ground.
Well, he's not talking about the initial restart.
Right.
He's talking about the first early 15 laps of a restart.
I love Ron Hornaday. That cat ain't lost a step. I mean,
54 years old, and he is still as tough as anyone on the racetrack.
And charges, he drives that baby like it's the last lap every lap. He's the perfect truck racer.
And that's why he has the most wins out of anyone in the Truck Series.
Remember last summer when he couldn't find his way very well and switched the teams around a little bit? He hopped in there and won a couple races. It's like that was a rebirth for Ron. He said, I can still do this. Oh, good. I love doing it, and I'm still really good at it.
See Johnny Sauter running down to the bottom of the racetrack, holding on to the 5th spot. Ryan Sieg going a lap down in that 39. 4 laps down. Fourth, excuse me. You can talk. The hand signals aren't working.
Johnny Sauter holds down the 4th spot. There's our leader, James Busher, trying to put a lap on Brian Silas in the 99 truck.
James Busher out in front now. He has led the most laps out of anyone in the 2012 season, taking over that prestigious spot from Kevin Harvick. Welcome back. There's the gap between 1 and 2. James Busher just in front of Timothy Peters in the American Ethanol 200 from Iowa Speedway.
Those guys fighting through some heavy traffic.
We just have put a lap on the gunbroker Ford of Jason White. Jason running in the 18th spot. He is in position right now to get a lucky dog if the caution were to come out. He needs to stay in touch with the leaders here to keep that spot.
We talk about how smooth the guys say this track is, but you can see a lot of movement in those trucks. Down in the turn, right there where Jason Leffler spun out, a bump or two, that'll send your truck sideways, and we see these guys really just dealing with all these bumps. Doing a great job. Whoa.
Ooh, Timothy got a little wide exiting the corner there.
And this wide racetrack needed to be just a bit wider for Timothy Peters. Close call there with the wall. James Busher still out in front. He has now led 82 of the 126 laps. And remember, he was dominant at Kentucky, our last race, where he led 119 of those laps.
It's right along with Timothy Peters right now, trying to chase down James Busher to wrestle that lead back away.
Going to dip to the inside of a lap truck. Jeff Agnew's up high, and look at this. Look at the time that it cost Timothy Peters, just because Jeff didn't do anything wrong, but it's just where he happened to catch him at, and it took all of his momentum away, and he couldn't make the move and lost 6-8 truck lengths to our leader.
In the matter of one corner, you saw him, he was within a truck length of our leader, James Busher. Lost his momentum exiting turn number 4, and that's the difference right there. Battle for the 9th spot. Parker Kligerman has it. Ty Dillon going after it. There's a good battle right there. That's the battle for the 3rd spot. Hornaday in the 9 on the outside, lapping Tim George. Got Johnny Sauter right behind him, and Johnny Sauter's teammate Matt Crafton right behind him.
Yeah, they're fighting for the 3rd spot. We're riding along with Crafton, and how about Sauter making the pass to the outside? Here comes Crafton to the inside of Tim George Jr., splitting that number 2. Teammates for Thor Sport Racing. Both of them able to clear the slower lap traffic and still chase that 9 of Ron Hornaday.
Nelson Piquet Jr. not far behind Matt Crafton. That's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th right there. These guys have run a long time now. They've run, most of these trucks have run almost 80 laps since they've been on pit road, so they're probably within 10, certainly 15 laps of coming down pit road.
Got a caution in the middle of that would help them with a little bit of fuel mileage, but you're right, Phil. We're getting close to what could be green flag pit stops.
So Jason Leffler, right side of your screen, making the move up. Remember, he spun, caused that caution flag, put some tires on. He's got a little more time, a little more fuel than these guys do, but he's made his way all the way back up into the top 10 as we watch Dakota Armstrong get by Ty Dillon and Johnny Sauter get by Ron Hornaday at the same time.
Talked about Dakota Armstrong fighting for potentially a top 10 finish. He's made his way up into the 11th spot now, just in front of Ty Dillon, who's dropped back into the 12th position. Phil, you talk about pit stops. Possibly green flag pit stops coming up soon. The last time our leaders were on pit road was lap 52. So we have gone 80 laps now. And we talked about that fuel window between 85 and 90. So we're closing up on the green flag pit stops. Hermie.
The 3 truck of Ty Dillon making his way to the attention of Marcus Richmond and crew. A little bit free on entry, tight in the center, but the reason why they're short pitting just a little bit, a vibration in the left front, so they want to make sure not to take any chances. Go ahead and get 4 tires, and this may force the hand of some of the other teams inside the top 10.
Be interesting to see what kind of speed that Ty's able to get when he returns to the track, maybe forcing the hands of some of those guys that he was racing around to come to pit road. He'd be able to pick up maybe a second a lap. Could be possibly in that range. Those other teams, oh, we got a spinner. This is going to be a bad break for Ty Dillon. It's John West Townley off turn 4.
Oh, how about our leader? is into the outside wall.
And so into the wall, the 31 of James Busher. We saw the 09 of John West Townley sliding out of turn number 4. How about these turns of events for James Busher?
All right, get your tools out.
You got to wonder if maybe that vibration Ty Dillon felt was a tire. We saw a tire failure earlier in the race.
Paulie Haraka's right
front. Lost his right front, and this is classic right front failure.
Working his way through 1 and 2, just about to exit turn 2 and slams into the wall.
Let's get inside of Timothy Peters' truck and watch Busher hit the wall. Watch how violent this swerve to the right is.
He's already back in the throttle. You saw the fire come out the exhaust pipes, and as soon as that tire went down, that thing turned hard right.
And that was just as the caution lights were coming out for John West Townley, who had spun coming out of turn number 4. So they were about to slow down. And more than likely, we would have seen James Busher make his way to pit road. But this happens. And you see, right as he's about to hit the wall, you'll see the lights flash for the caution coming out.
And that wasn't for him. You're exactly right.
One corner away from coming to pit road.
Being able to slow down and come to pit road.
And maybe winning this darn race.
And look at the damage to that right front tire. Ray.
Guys, they're going to have to take this truck behind the wall. They do have damage to the suspension. They were about 4 laps away from coming to the pit area, and James said it was not just a regular tire failure. He said he must have run over something. It gave him no indication, said he had no vibration or any other problem, so they believe they ran over something on the racetrack to cause that tire failure, but they're going to have to come behind the wall to fix it.
You know, Phil, I would agree with that. You see where James was? He was dead on the bottom of the racetrack. That thing had already committed to the left. I mean, he was making that turn, making it perfectly, and then boom, just that quick, it blew out.
And again, the reason why that caution came out wasn't for the 31. It was for this. John West Townley sliding out of 4.
Yeah, John West was racing with some other trucks. I didn't see any contact there. And just as soon as this happens over turn number 2, James Busher is into the outside wall. What a tough break. And he was leading the race. Timothy Peters was racing with him, but he wasn't able to do anything with him. But now they head to pit road here with 64 laps remaining.
So Timothy Peters, your race leader, leading the trucks onto pit road. Let's go to Hermie.
Ron Hornaday comes to pit road. He just lost a spot to Johnny Sauter on the racetrack. The truck developed a little bit of a push in the center of the corner. 1/2 pound air out of both left side tires. It's a no-go fuel for the 9 truck. Ray?
Last time that Johnny Sauter came in, this team did an excellent job. They gained him 4 spots for this Hot Honeys Toyota Tundra. Johnny Sauter at the top of your screen. You see at the bottom, Crafton to the right. You'll see the 17. He's again in pit stall number 1. That's usually a nice advantage. Sauter is down away. He'll move out ahead of the number 9. They'll come around the corner. We'll see if the 17 rolls first. He does. Peters comes in first, goes out first again.
Nice work by Justin Lofton's crew to gain him a couple spots on pit road. Matt Crafton loses a couple.
See Miguel Paludo picking up 6 spots. And the work on the 31 continues. Again, James Busher coming in 4th in the point standings. Coming through turn 2. Right front goes down. Into the wall he goes. Monday nights, it is heating up on the race to make the chase. Larry Mack and Matt Clark are in the hub to break down the action from New Hampshire. Plus, you'll hear directly from the drivers and get the latest silly season updates. Will Matt Kenseth sign with whoever he's going to race for in 2013? NASCAR Race Hub, Monday, 6 Eastern, only on Speed.
I bet he already signed.
You think it's signed?
He just won't tell us.
See the Aaron's Lucky Dog being given out. Also, the 31 of James Busher is going to go behind the wall for more work on that 31. The 31 already quite a few laps down, 4, and the field continues to go around him. Green flag back in the air for the American Ethanol 200 as we've completed 143 laps.
Great restart by Timothy Peters. Johnny Sauter lined up inside him. Timothy beat him down into turn number 1. Chris Fontaine real high down in 1 and 2.
Almost up into the wall is that 84, shaking it to try to get some of that debris off of the tires as he was running up against the wall.
Look at Hornaday.
3 wide.
Strong on the bottom of the racetrack.
Hornaday now to the inside of that 6 of Lofton. Crafton running back the higher line, also trying to get by the 18 of Jason Leffler.
What a recovery by Jason Leffler. He's driven that thing all the way back up in the top 10 after a spin earlier. We've seen spins to win a couple of times wins here in the Truck Series, and maybe we can see another one tonight.
After James Busher gets into the wall with the right front tire failure, bringing out our most recent caution. That puts Timothy Peters out in front, and he has Johnny Sauter all over his back bumper. Hornaday running third, Lofton and Kraft in your top 5.
And everybody in their pit window, everybody pitted with 63 laps to go. We know they can all go the rest of the way.
We've seen long green flag runs tonight. Joey Coulter on the inside. Nelson Piquet Jr. on the outside.
Piquet had a bit of a struggle on pit road that last time and finds himself back racing with the 22 of Joey Coulter.
Looks like Piquet's going to be able to make the pass on Coulter, move him up to 8.
Cale Gale, solid night tonight, all night long.
Ooh, Piquet gets a little bit loose in front of Coulter. That allows Joey to get back to his inside.
Piquet's thinking, I did all that work to grab that spot loose. I've lost the spot.
These two haven't determined which one's going to get in front. Coulter now working that low line, but here comes Nelson Piquet Jr. on the outside once again.
Fellow countryman here, Miguel Paludo, racing along behind these two, watching the action. It looks like Coulter's going to get the spot, and now Paludo will see if he can go grab that plate position away from Nelson Piquet.
Already a half second separating Timothy Peters and Johnny Sauter. Let's go down for an update from Tony Sadler.
Yeah, Rick, we've got to give a call to Dakota Armstrong and this number 98 truck. The worst lap they ran all weekend long was their qualifying lap. They qualified back into 16th position. But this team has really dug off and on the racetrack. On pit road, they've been good. He's up to 6 on the racetrack. His ThorSport teammates get a lot of the PR coming into this event. But the 98 team has been solid right now inside of the top 10. And right behind him, and you guys mentioned it, the 18 of Jason Leffler has recovered from a spin back up to the 7th position on the racetrack. Really likes his truck. Last time they were on pit road, no changes for Jason Leffler. Greg?
Coming into tonight's race, Hermie, James Busher just 9 points out of the championship chase. This is the only team with 2 wins so far this season. We're still trying to diagnose exactly what went wrong. I have looked over the tire. The Goodyear representatives told me they believe that they melted the bead from too much brake heat. I looked at it. There was a couple of places where it looked like he could have run over something. The entire team is working all over this Chevrolet back in the garage. They've got a lot of damage on the right front. They're going to have to change it. And you see on the back of the race truck, James Busher, actually the driver, jumping in and helping. He's been all over this truck. James knows a good bit about setups and building race cars. He's trying to help throw a hand in here. He's not just sitting in the cockpit. He's trying to help get this truck back on the racetrack.
Yeah, unfortunate after having such a strong truck early in this race. He was out front for 91 laps and now in the garage. Cale Gale running that 33 just in front of Miguel Paludo.
Yeah, he just grabbed that spot from Paludo. Cale's really fast right now. Look at the gap he's put on Miguel in one turn. Now he's going to try to race down Piquet. Miguel couldn't do it.
There's the gap between 1 and 2. Timothy Peters out front. Only 2 trucks have led this race. Timothy Peters and James Busher. Now it's Timothy Peters' turn. Race fans, Speed has teamed up with your favorite tracks to offer amazing ticket deals you can't get anywhere else. Why pay full price before you buy? Go to speed.com/deals and see how much you can save. Be sure to check out our incredible inside deal for Watkins Glen International. Out in front of the field, it's the 17 of Timothy Peters, the 13 of Johnny Sauter running second. And Timothy Peters' wife tweeting 50 to go, and P1, dear Lord, I can't breathe and my baby is to have oxygen.
And you hear a very confident Johnny Sauter right behind Timothy Peters. He thinks he's got the truck. The last couple of laps he's been faster by about 1/10 of a second a couple of laps ago, and you can see the gap there diminishing. Johnny Sauter's fast here late in the going.
Or all it would take would be one little bobble in traffic, get caught in behind the lap truck.
And there we saw Timothy Peters working by Norm Benning in the 57. And Johnny Sauter had that line already as Norm Benning had moved up the racetrack, so Johnny Sauter didn't have to slow down at all, so that closes the gap even more between Timothy Peters and Johnny Sauter.
You know, we always talk about Johnny Sauter being very animated on the radio. Joe Shear, his crew chief, was giving him his lap times, and several laps in a row he gained a little bit on Timothy Peters. And just a few moments ago, this was Johnny's reaction to him gaining on Timothy Peters.
I think he's thinking he's coming. He's reeling in that 17.
Man, come here, baby kitty. kitty. Got a smoker over in 3 and 4.
That's David Starr.
Caution is out.
And the 81, and the caution will come out, bringing the field back together once again.
84 got into the fence.
Looked like maybe there was some fluid, and Chris Fontaine got into it, went up high. We'd seen Chris up high earlier. But,
do what you think, because whatever I'm saying is wrong. We're just going backwards.
So David Starr is going to work his way back around, and I'm sure bring that 81 to the attention of his crew on pit road as the smoke was rolling out from underneath that truck. So Timothy Peters out front. The gap was about a half a second. That gap now is gone. You'll have Johnny Sauter restarting on the inside of Timothy Peters.
Yeah, Johnny thinks he's...
We're hearing them talk just a bit.
I think that's Timothy Peters talking there about his trucks wanting to push, and that would explain the... We talked about Sauter yesterday during practice and even today being just a little bit loose, and perhaps that would be the key to him having a truck that can win tonight. Pushing coming off the corner here with these big fast speeds is almost a death sentence. You've got to have that baby turning. Johnny's truck is turning really well, and he's faster than Timothy right now.
That little bit of looseness is a little more adjustable than that push off the corner. You can adjust that with a throttle a little bit.
So Timothy Peters trying to stay out front for 35 more laps here at Iowa. Welcome back. American Ethanol 200 continuing. It's going to be a sprint to the finish as we have just 34 laps remaining out in front. Timothy Peters with this most recent caution. That means an Aaron's lucky dog goes out once again. This time it goes to Ty Dillon. He will now be on the lead lap once again.
Yeah, that's going to help. But Ty really needs another caution flag to really gain all the track position back.
Isn't that just like a racer? I need a caution. Oh, by the way, now I need another one while I'm at it. I got that one. That's great. But I need one more if I'm going to get back in contention.
Lights are off on the pace car, meaning they are coming back to green. Goodyear has proudly supported our military for over 100 years. Show your support for our troops at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. And you see support our troops on the tires. That promotion going through July and August for Goodyear, giving back to the troops. Right.
Hey guys, Todd Bodine came to the pits real quick to put tires on. He's in 16th position right now. The last truck on the lead lap, nothing to lose.
Hadn't had a good truck. Talked to Todd last night. He said, I'm optimistic we made some gains on that baby, but it's been a struggle for him tonight.
Field working their way through 3 and 4. Green flag back in the air. Timothy Peters on the outside. Sauter on the inside. A great restart. Here comes Hornaday to the inside, trying to take second away. 3 wide as they go through 1 and 2.
Look at Hornaday.
Hornaday trying for the lead now. Down the backstretch on the inside.
We talked about restarts and we talked about Ron Hornaday, and he's got that lead.
Ron Hornaday has taken the lead away from the 17 of Timothy Peters.
Not only can he shift gears, he runs the first lap or 2 after a restart as hard as if he's qualifying. Did you see how far he drove that thing down into turn 3 and grabbed that spot?
And here comes Sauter trying to take second away from Timothy Peters.
Timothy Peters got down in the corner and the truck just went straight on him.
Now he's got the momentum back on the high side as he tries to battle back for that second spot. But it's Hornaday out in front of the field now.
These guys are reaching deep down inside their body and saying, I need more. I got to give it all I got right now. That was evident, by the way. Hornaday drove into 3, and then Peters just now powered around the outside of Johnny Sauter. They're giving it all they got.
7 different winners in 8 races, and that's not including Ron Hornaday. He has not been to victory lane in 2012.
Nor has Timothy Peters.
Nor has Timothy Peters. So we could have another different winner in 2012 as we have 29 laps of racing to go.
I'm going to go way out on a limb and say we are going to have another one.
Way out on a limb.
Way out.
Hornaday, Peters, Sauter, Crafton, and Lofton, your top 5. Then it's Leffler, Armstrong, Coulter, Gale, and PK Jr., your top 10.
You got Cale Gale on the inside of Joey Coulter in a good battle right there. Dead even coming off of turn number 4 at the start-finish line. It's a battle for the 8th spot.
Those two racing hard. Cale Gale on the bottom of the racetrack. Joey Coulter up high.
Cale's going to make that pass.
Coulter looking to the inside now as they go to turn 3. So the crossover move. Coulter trying to make it work. Cale Gale has to go up the racetrack, tries to use the momentum as they come out of 4.
Cale able to score it out ahead, about a truck length over Joey Coulter. Now PK has thoughts about moving to the inside of Coulter. Coulter came down the hill. Now he moves back up the racetrack. Opens the bottom for PK.
Nelson PK in the 30. Working to the inside of the 20 of Joey Coulter. So much flatter of a racetrack down at the bottom. Not as much caution grip when we see the 39 of Ryan Sieg sideways. The caution comes out once again. Well, Hornaday extremely strong on the last restart. Made it 3 wide going into turn number 1. As they went down the backstretch, he takes the lead. Take a look at why the caution came out.
See Todd Bodine on the inside of Ryan Sieg. They make a little contact. Ryan gets up into the outside wall. Does a nice job of keeping that truck straight.
That was looked like it was going to be a big spin and crash. NASCAR throws a caution because of that truck being in such terrible shape.
Completely out of shape Ryan Sieg was. We'll be right back. Who will make it to victory lane at Iowa Speedway? The laps continue to wind down. Under our most recent caution, this time it's the 6th caution. As we saw Ryan Sieg almost get around. We got a lot of smiling faces that would like to get to victory lane. A few that haven't been there in 2012. 8 races, 7 different winners. Could we have our 8th different winner tonight?
I think I got to believe that Johnny, that right now Timothy Peters is smiling. This is the most recent restart. He's not smiling about this. You see Ron Hornaday from the 2nd row jumps down, makes it 3 wide. Timothy just couldn't go through the center of the corner. Ron jumped on the inside of him, but Timothy gets another shot at him, though, Michael. They're getting ready to restart this race. Hornaday to the high side, Timothy to the inside.
Look how hard Hornaday's driving that truck down into turn 3. He didn't have any angle at all entering turn 1. Sauter had him squeezed down, but yet he was still able to get through the center of the corner and make the move on Peters.
This time, it's Ron Hornaday on the outside. He's your race leader. Timothy Peters on the inside. Green flag back in the air. How will he do on this restart? Now it's Johnny Sauter looking to the inside. 3 wide once again as they go into turn 1.
Timothy drove it hard down into there. Still 3 wide.
3 wide going out the backstretch. Hornaday comes out on top. Then it's side by side for 2nd. Sauter on the inside. Peters on the outside.
See, Timothy Peters moved up the racetrack to give him a little bit of room in between he and Johnny Sauter. He didn't want Johnny to get loose underneath him.
21 laps of racing to go. Hornaday in front. Peters running 2nd. Then it's Sauter and his teammate Crafton 3rd and 4th.
This is a great battle. Hornaday, master of the restarts, makes it work there. But Sauter charged down to the inside, 3 wide. Great battle.
How about Dakota Armstrong? He's looking to the inside of Cale Gale now.
How about Cale Gale, another kid that's making things work tonight.
We talked about Dakota Armstrong trying to have a career best finish, and right now running in the top 10, looking very, very strong.
There's another young kid, Parker Kligerman, trying to work to the inside of Nelson Piquet Jr. And we talk about all these young kids, but how about that 54-year-old of Ron Hornaday?
97 of Jeff Troquette. Also running very well, still on the lead lap, running 13th in his first ever truck race. And we're 3 wide once again.
Oh, trouble.
And this time contact is made. Dakota Armstrong got into Cale Gale. Both of them straightened back out, but there's sparks coming out from the right side of the 98.
Oh, he's turned him.
And he turns him around and both go into the wall. The 98 of Dakota Armstrong got into the rear quarter panel to 33.
Did it look like that maybe the right front tire had an issue on Dakota Armstrong when they got down to turn 3?
Looked like his truck wouldn't turn when he
just
got
went
there.
straight.
There was definitely sparks on that right side. Cale Gale is going to drop the window net.
Yeah, I think you called it, Rick. The sparks, I believe there was a rub, and maybe when he got down to turn 3, he didn't have any ability to turn to the left.
Tried to turn, I'm sure.
And that's what happened to Cale Gale was that flat tire on the right front.
And there was contact between that 98 and the 33 originally.
Dakota got loose going down into turn 1, slid up into Cale Gale. That allowed Ty Dillon to drive around both of them. Ty Dillon's up to the 7th spot, Bill, after running 18th to 20th most of this race. Let's see what happens here. You can watch the 98. He gets loose right there. Stays up for a bit, but then loose some more, and then into the side of Cale Gale.
We're going to stay with it right here. They get down to the corner. See, Joey Coulter moves to the inside. They get down to the corner. You could see Dakota Armstrong back off. He realized, he turned the wheel, nothing happened. He tried to avoid the 33 of Cale Gale, unfortunately couldn't do it.
You can see the Goodyear is rubbed off of the, see the thing go to the right there when he gets the turn.
It just never turned left at all.
And the Goodyear was rubbed off the left rear tire of Cale Gale. That's where the two trucks made contact down in turn 1.
It could have tore the sidewall out of that tire for the 98.
And we ride along with Cale Gale in the 33.
Yeah, after that contact, he's just along for the ride.
And initially, he's going to think that 98 took him out.
Yeah.
But in all, I mean, what we've seen here, that 98 had a problem with the right front. He couldn't turn.
Well, the 98 started the problem when he got loose on the inside of Cale Gale down in turn 1. That began this mess, and it didn't end up too good for either one of them.
7th caution has come out. 2 trucks into the wall. 33 and the 98. Very frustrating situation for the 2 drivers. And, well, when your truck's up against the wall and you can't climb out the driver's side, you go out the passenger side. Not an easy move. Welcome back. Cleanup continuing in turn number 3 as we had an issue with the 33 and the 98. Dakota Armstrong and Cale Gale. About a half a lap before all of this happened, the 2 got together and it looked like it did some damage to the right front of that 98 of Dakota Armstrong. But when we have a caution, that means someone is going to benefit. This time it's Ross Chastain.
Ross has been able to soldier on here. He's going to get a lap back. There will be 16 trucks on the lead lap. Let's take a look back at what happened to this incident between the 98 of Dakota Armstrong and the 33 of Cale Gale. Watch Ty Dillon. Remember, he caught a break, got a caution flag. He makes it 3 wide there. Dakota thought he had a little more room, I think, and then he got loose.
Well, I bet right when they got down to turn 1, Dakota's spotter yelled, "You got one on the inside." Then he said, "Oh man, I need to get some room there." That got him closer to the Cale Gale truck as they entered the turn, and then he was just along for the ride after that.
Here's as they exit turn number 2. This is already after they made the contact. You see no painting on no lettering on that left rear tire, and that truck got to the corner of the 98 truck and just never turned. Just made slight contact with Cale Gale, enough to turn him around. This is what Cale felt right here.
That's such a hopeless, helpless feeling. He was clear, felt like he was just going to drive down into turn 3, got hit in the left rear.
So while those 2 were racing for 7th and 8th, that meant Ron Hornaday was clear of all of the incident out in front of the field.
Perfect.
Crew Chief Jeff Inslee, you've been telling Ron Hornaday to save some fuel. That's a good thing for you guys, but these restarts are a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, they are. It is. Ron's doing a heck of a job. He got a heck of a restart and got out front. And, you know, we just needed some clean air all night long on the Anderson's Maple Syrup Chevy. And once we got out front, I thought we'd be okay, but it's tough. This truck's deal is really hard. But I want to say hello to Joe. We're going to see if we can't bring this thing home for you.
That's Jeff Inslee. Still talking about whether to take the outside or the inside on this next restart, but if it came down to one restart for me, I think I'd like to have Ron Hornaday in my truck also.
And I think the outside worked for him. What do you guys think?
Well, we've been 3 wide the last 2 restarts. That's what I was going to say before we went down to Hermie. But we got to do it again. I mean, these guys have lined up and raced 3 wide into turn 1. So I don't know which side's the safest. Maybe inside second row is a good place to be.
I think I like Ron Hornaday. The fact that he's in charge of the restart. He's the guy that goes first. He's got the little zone, the restart zone that he can go in, but he's the guy that goes first. So I think if I'm Ron Hornaday, I take the outside. It's worked well for him a couple times.
Doing a little work on Todd Bodine's number 11. Looks like he's got some right front damage to that truck. We go from short track to super speedway next Saturday. World's toughest truckers fire up their rigs for a full throttle battle royale. Things are going to get wild in the Windy City. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Chicago next Saturday at 7:30 Eastern, live on Speed.
When we say things are going to get wild in the Truck Series, we mean it. We just had a huge crash. We've had 3 wide on the restarts.
For the lead.
We've got a 54-year-old man kicking a bunch of kids' butts right here on Speed. And I love the Truck Series because you never know who's going to do what. Ron Hornaday is the guy that has stepped up and really showing us something tonight.
We got Ron Hornaday. Timothy Peters will restart on the front row, but Johnny Sauter's in third. He made it 3 wide this last time. Does he have the advantage on this restart?
And Matt Crafton up to 4th. That truck has been fast. Jason Leffler's in 5th. He recovered from a spin to be in the top 5. So I'm telling you, Phil, one of these guys slip a little bit like we saw Dakota Armstrong do down into turn 1, and you could have a real mess.
Change the whole complexion of this race.
You know, one thing I want Hermie to check on, if he would, with Jeff Hensley, these guys last pitted on lap 137. We've had a number of caution laps. They should be able to go, as we talked about, probably 85 laps. Undoubtedly, if they're worried about fuel, maybe they didn't get it full on their last pit stop.
Maybe that is an issue that Ron Hornaday has to think about. So Hornaday potentially with a fuel issue. We've seen him shut the truck off a couple times during this most recent caution.
Would maple syrup be the slowest sponsor ever to win?
Hermie, what's the we'll get to that. Hermie, what's the story with the 9?
Well, they got it. They only took about a little over a can and a half on the last stop by design. And Jeff Hensley, I just asked him, he said they are good on fuel, just wanted to keep a little extra in the tank in case we get a green-white checker. But he thinks with all these caution laps, they're good to go. No problem at all to the finish.
All right, very good to know. So he chooses the outside line. We talk about the greatest on short tracks, and Ron Hornaday's name at the top of the list. 22 wins out of his 106 starts. I can't do the math quickly, but that's at least 25%.
Yeah, exactly.
He's pretty good on big tracks, too.
He is really good. 51 wins. Could it be 52? Green flag back in the air at Iowa.
Johnny Sauter.
All over the back bumper of the 17. Johnny Sauter trying to figure out a way around, but can't do it. Now he's side by side with his teammate fighting for third.
Hornaday did not have a great restart. Timothy Peters has a lead.
Timothy Peters takes over the top spot. Just under 10 laps of racing to go. Then it's Hornaday running second. Matt Crafton has moved up to third. Back to fourth goes Johnny Sauter.
Side by side for 5th. Jason Leffler on the inside, Justin Lofton on the outside.
I think things are fixing to pick up here.
I think they already have, Rick. Remember when Leffler was on the inside earlier, he got loose and spun around. He's down on the inside of Lofton now, so he'll have to be careful. Right there is where it got away from him last time. And look at Ty Dillon. What a job by that team, getting him tuned up and competitive after a really tough couple of practices yesterday and today.
Definitely has bounced back. Running in the top 10 now. Ty Dillon in the 7th spot.
And a tough early start to the race. As we talked about, he was about 18th, 19th for a lot of the early part of this race.
They pitted early to work on that truck, and that working has helped him tremendously.
So Hornaday, after a very un-Hornaday-like restart, has Timothy Peters in front of him by almost a half a second. So Peters, Hornaday, Crafton, Sauter, and Lofton, your top 5. Then it's Leffler, Dillon, Coulter, Kligerman, and PK Jr.
We're getting down to it here, too. 6 to go this time by. Peters' truck really likes being out front. We saw him pull away in the short run all race long. He's able to do it here with Hornaday.
We saw the tweet by Sarah Peters, his wife, talking about how she was lacking oxygen, so nervous with her husband out in front and expecting their first child. I can't imagine what it's like for her right now.
Watch this restart here on the right side of our screen. Remember, Hornaday's the boss. That white truck, number 9, on the restart. Did he spin his tires, Michael?
It looked like he did. And look, Johnny Sauter had designs on going up the middle of those two. Couldn't quite fit in there. And look at Crafton sneaking around the outside of Sauter.
Johnny got loose down there. Once Crafton pulled up on his right rear corner, it got him loose.
Less than 5 laps to go. Hornaday trying to reel in that 17 of Timothy Peters. Closing the gap. Does he have enough time as they cross the stripe? 4 laps of racing remain from Iowa. Jeff Choquette on the inside of Todd Bodine. And they are racing hard.
Yeah, he got Todd a little bit sideways off turn 4, and he's taking that position away from Todd. They're battling along.
That's for 8th that Choquette's running now.
Up inside the top 10.
11th. We see Choquette in 11th. Bodine back in 12th. Miguel Paludo watching from behind. He's running 13th.
I'd say a solid night for Jeff Choquette. He's come in here and mixed it up. Just made a nice late race pass on former champ Todd Bodine. I'd say a passing grade for that young man and his team.
Absolutely. We talked to him yesterday during practice. He said, I want to be able to roll it into the trailer in one piece. Then he had a couple good practice sessions. He may have wanted a little bit more, but a top 15 here on the lead lap. A great effort by them.
You know, if Ron Hornaday did spin those tires, Timothy Peters still beat him to the start-finish line. The leader's supposed to be the guy that gets there first, so I'm glad there isn't a call there because Timmy gets a good start. Ron spins his tires a little bit. It was a really close battle to the start-finish line. I'm glad NASCAR said we're not going to get involved in that.
Yeah, I think the officials will look at that, and then when they see Ron Hornaday spins his tires, then they say, okay, no call.
Final lap. The 17 of Timothy Peters coming in. He was your points leader, looking to extend that points lead as he rockets down the backstretch and into turns 3 and 4, looking for his 4th career win. Timothy Peters coming out of turn number 4. He'll win in Iowa.
Nice job tonight, everybody. Thank you very much. That's the way, boys.
Yes, sir! Man, that's the way to do it, boys! Woo! This is for my old man.
That's emotion. Feels good to hear that.
Crew Chief Butch Hilton told me before the race, we need bonus points. We can finish in the top 5, top 10, but we need bonus points. They got most of them tonight.
Timothy Peters led 87 laps, so he doesn't lead the most laps. James Buescher still gets the point for that, but the wins are very important when you race in NASCAR, and he gets 3 extra ones for this one. And that winning crew chief standing by with Ray.
Well, thank you, Rick. I'm with Butch Hilton, and it's been a great season already with all these different winners. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, we've been really working hard trying to get a win. Driver drove his guts out right there at the end. To beat Ron, who's so good on restarts, I'm so proud of him.
How worried were you in the last couple of restarts when Hornaday was ahead?
Well, Ron used to drive for me, so I know how good he is on restarts, and he didn't do very good on that last one, so it was great to see Timothy get a good restart.
All right, go enjoy it. That's Butch Hilton. He's on his way to victory lane once again.
Fireworks up in the sky, smoke on the front straightaway, and a very happy young man there, Timothy Peters.
You know, he's celebrated like this. This is his 4th time. He's got it figured out. That was an incredible burnout in front of the stands here at Iowa.
We look out from our broadcast position. We couldn't even see the truck down there.
The truck, the driver, everything has disappeared. Now Timothy making the walk over to grab that checkered flag. What a great crowd on hand here in Iowa. They always put on a great show. And Timothy Peters, an amazing job.
We get to come back here, too.
The guy who ends up 2nd, Ron Hornaday, standing by with Hermie.
Well, Ron Hornaday, you said it on the radio. It's not a win, but a tremendous step in the right direction for this race team. You guys are in the mix all night.
Yeah, first of all, I got to thank Anderson Maple Syrup and Chevrolet and AMFMenergy.com. Their wooden pellet stove, Ron and all the guys. I mean, it takes a lot to get out here, especially Joe and Danette, everybody back at home, and Bentley, Megan. This is fun. I mean, we didn't have the truck to beat them. But once we got out front, we were pretty good, and we were saving fuel. We didn't get enough fuel in the thing, so I didn't get a chance to spin my tire, clean my tires up, and I spun them pretty bad. So he got me on that last one, but we came back and run. At least they know we were here. But a lot of guys to thank. Cheer Wine, just everybody's been aboard. It's been cool.
And talk about these restarts. The last one didn't go in your favor, but how about the restart 2 prior to that when you came from 3rd to get the win? That was pretty exciting as well.
Well, I've been paying attention when I was back farther. I could pay attention to the leader. He'd take off a little bit and slow down, and everybody would bunch up. At the time, I gave him about a half a truck, and I got a good momentum, and I didn't spin my tires. And it seems like the guy on the outside or inside, when he started going, he slowed up, and you spun your tires, and he got the jump. So I just judged it just right. And Johnny knew what I was doing. He tried to block me, and I couldn't believe it stuck down there. I thought we were going to like 3 wide. But that stage of the game with 25 to go, you got to make a move. And had to see what this thing would do in clean air. So Jeff Hensley's done a great job putting his body on this thing. Mark Smith, everybody. It takes a lot of people, and it's pretty cool. This is just the right stepping stone. We're going the right direction.
That's Ron Hornaday, best career finish at Iowa.
You know what I think is cool? He didn't worry about the fact that Timothy beat him to the line a little bit. He said, I spun my tires. He did a great job. It was a great race. That's just a guy that was into his truck, couldn't pull it off, but no remorse over the start.
All smiles for the driver of the 17, Timothy Peters. He's making his way to victory lane. We'll be there next on Speed. Timothy Peters made the very enjoyable ride into victory lane. He's there now. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Timothy Peters comes into this race as the point leader. Now he has a 4-year winning streak. They just announced that he and his wife Sarah are pregnant for the first time. He was the pole sitter, and now he's the winner of the American Ethanol 200. Here's a simple question. How good does it feel to be Timothy Peters right now?
Oh, man. Thank the good Lord for being with us tonight. Man, you don't get Toyota Tundras like this often, and, man, it was dominant. Set on the pole. The testament goes to this team right here, Butch Hilton, all the guys back at the shop. You work your butts off. Thank you so much. Joe Gibbs Engines, how about that horsepower? This right here is for my dad. It'll be 11 years. Tuesday, I lost my dad. So this was for him. We're thinking about Hinky Eames. We love you, buddy. Get well. Quentin Moore, we're thinking about you. Man, it would be a dad. That's kind of scary in itself, too. So the only thing that can make it better for my little buddy Blake Stallings win limited race at South Boston tonight.
Let me ask you this, Timothy. Back about Charlotte, you told me you guys weren't quite there yet, but you were getting close. What's been the difference?
Perseverance, determination, man. You should have seen this shop. Last year, this race right here was a reset button for Butch Hilton and myself. And we just made a notebook and we got on a roll. And over the offseason, he implemented a lot of good stuff. And our Toyota Tundras are fast.
All right, great race tonight for Red Horse Racing for sure. Timothy Peters in victory lane. When we got here tonight, we were pretty sure that Thor Sport trucks were going to be fast. Let's hear from Hermie.
Well, Johnny, you know you expect to win a race when you come to the racetrack like you guys have here, and you're disappointed with the finish you guys had tonight, but still a pretty good points day for you guys on your way back.
Yeah, Hot Honey's Curb Records Toyota was loose in all night and a little bit tight off. So I don't know what the deal is on the restarts. We just get killed. I can't anticipate it any better. We got to work on something to make sure we get up through the gears better. I don't know if it's horsepower or what. Try Johnny Dyson, all the guys do a great job. Just we're missing something there, but nonetheless, proud of everybody at Thor Sport. Great race. Just my truck wouldn't go on a restart. It took about 5 laps for it to come in, and I felt like I could run faster lap times than those guys in front of me. You got to be able to fire off in the series, and we didn't have that tonight.
That's Johnny Sauter. He comes home fourth.
Thanks, Hermie.
You darn right you got to be able to fire off. You're going to be 3 wide when you get to turn 1.
Ron Hornaday fired off there, didn't he?
Yeah, when you've got Timothy Peters and Hornaday, Johnny Sauter all fighting for that top spot, it is a very difficult situation to be in. And obviously right now all smiles for Timothy Peters. We want to take a look at our Ram Guts and Glory, and one of the guys we talked about there on those restarts, Ron Hornaday. So strong on the restarts. Definitely have to give him the guts part of this.
You can never question the desire of this 54-year-old 4-time champion. You see him make it 3 wide. He said, I'm not even sure wasn't sure it was going to stick down there. It did. And then he drives up beside Timothy Peters.
Yeah, he's not done yet. Watch this truck go down into turn 3. Is that guts? That's hard. He drives down in there on the inside of another truck and grabs the lead.
1 spot away from the glory, Ron Hornaday, our Ram Guts and Glory driver this evening. And we talked about the Thor Sport dominance at this racetrack. Johnny Sauter comes home 4th, 1 position closer to the front. Matt Crafton, he's with Hermie.
Well, Matt Crafton, you come home 3rd tonight. Talk about your race first of all, and then talk about those restarts at the end. They were fun to watch. I imagine they were fun to drive.
Oh, it was a blast to drive. We had really, really good restarts. Lost a little track position on that last stop. I know these guys work off. I mean, ever can't complain about what they do because they do such an awesome job usually. Just had a bad run on the last one. I mean, had a really good truck. I mean, these guys brought an awesome Menards Toyota Tundra to the racetrack. This needed track position. I mean, as you see when Hornaday got out front, it was just checked out, and then the 17 got out front right there at the end. And it's all about track position tonight. So can't thank these guys enough for how hard they've been working and making these trucks fast each and every week.
That's a 3rd and a 4th tonight for the Thor Sport teammates.
Thanks, Hermie. It definitely is an advantage to start up front here. Of the 4 races run, 3 have been won from the pole. This time it's Timothy Peters that's celebrating in Victory Lane. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more from Iowa.
Next week, the Camping World Truck Series heads to the Windy City as it visits the Chicagoland Speedway. Last year, the wind blew in Austin Dillon's direction as he took home the win on his way to his championship season. Will it blow in Brother Ty's favor this year? Tune in to find out. Chris Devoto hosts the setup starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, followed by flag-to-flag coverage, only on Speed.
And while the celebration continues in Victory Lane, you know we're all about social media. Tweets continue to rain down on this series. How about Kevin Harvick, who's hanging out with his son, Keelan? I felt like we still owned Ron Hornaday's truck. Still made me a little nervous. Glad they ran well. Much needed. Nice recovery by Ty Dillon and his team. Watching from the great Northeast. They're getting ready to race tomorrow at Loudon. Now let's go back to Hermie Sadler.
Justin Lofton, somehow out of all of that, you guys ended up with a top 5 finish. Way to battle through everything tonight. Tell us how your truck was and talk about those last couple of restarts.
It was an awesome night here in Iowa. This is a really, really fun track to race at. And we started off a little slow. We knew when the sun was up, we were going to struggle a little bit. And then, the minute the sun started going down, it started getting darker and darker. We started going faster and faster. So we weren't really good where we needed to be, which was off the first 3 or 4 laps of a run. But all in all, great race for the JD High School truck, and look forward to having them on some more this year and going to Chicago next weekend.
You guys are second in points now, 12 back. Do you think about points a lot when you're on the racetrack, or do you wait and count them when the race is over?
I'm definitely thinking the entire time. You tend to look over down the backstretch to see where everyone's at, but when the guy you're chasing's in front of you, the only place to look is up there. So Timothy had a great truck tonight, and congrats to them, and look forward to going and getting our points lead back in Chicago.
Justin Lofton brings it home 5th.
I like that confidence. Take a look at your unofficial results. Timothy Peters grabs another win. That's career win number 4 in his 127th start.
How about Jason Leffler? We saw him spin early, bring out a caution flag. He fought back. His guys fought back. Ends up with a 6th place finish.
And right behind him, Ty Dillon, another one that was able to bounce back after adversity.
Yeah, we all know how hard this stuff is. That's what Harvick was saying. Way to recover, Ty Dillon, because that could have been a terrible night for those guys. But they were on pit road early, worked on the truck, made it better all night long.
Record still perfect this year. Top 10 finishers every race for Ty Dillon.
John West Townley recovered from a spin, finished 20th.
Dakota Armstrong going to be disappointed with 26 after racing up into the top 10. And then he and Cale Gale getting into it. They end up 26th and 27.
How about James Busher back in 30th? He's going to take a pretty big hit in the points. Looked like he might have had the truck to beat either he or Timothy Peters, and unfortunately, he's going to end up with a 30th place finish.
7 cautions meant we were going to be on pit road a few times, and just from an auto stop, the 17 had a little bit of an advantage. Pit stall number 1. They had the fastest pit stops.
Yeah, every time they came off pit road, they came off with the lead. They held serve each and every time. So that's all you can do. All you can ask of your guys.
Great feeling when you watch that truck drive off and no one's in front of you.
Not only get your truck off of pit road first, but also make it into Victory Lane. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Camping World and Good Sam. Everything for the RV lifestyle, including RVs, accessories, warranties, insurance, and roadside assistance. By Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. And by 1&1, my website, where creating a business website is easy. Let's hear from the guy who had a pretty good recovery tonight. Ty Dillon standing by with Ray.
Well, let me see if I can summarize his night tonight. He starts 15th, pits on lap 4. Later on the race, you come in, put it up on jack stands, go down 2 laps, and somehow come home with a top 10. How did that happen?
I don't know. We just missed the setup a little bit from the time we unloaded. But our Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet team it's hard to beat us, and we don't give up. We just kept putting our head down all weekend, even though we were a little off, and kept digging and knew that we could get a good finish. So we came from 32nd, 2 laps down. I don't know how we did it, but we just kept trying hard and just happy, just really happy for what it says about our team for this championship run, and excited to get the finish that we got, to not lose as much points as what we should have, the way we ran all day and all weekend. So glad to get out with this day with a decent finish.
Okay, congratulations. That's a great comeback for the 3 team. And as we were talking, ThorSport was pretty good tonight, but one guy had some tough luck, and he's standing by with Hermie.
With Dakota Armstrong, let's talk about the good stuff first. You guys were solid all weekend long practice. I told them on the air tonight your worst lap all weekend was qualifying, but if you guys battled back up, got back up to the top 5 again, so until the end, a very good weekend for you guys.
Yeah, we did a good job bringing. This is a new truck for us, so really glad about all the guys. Hard work they did, Dan Stillman and everyone. It was a good. We had a good weekend. Just didn't get the finish we wanted. I got to apologize to the 33 there. I blew right front going in and clipped them. Didn't mean to get them there, but 3 just kind of dive bomb in to make it 3 wide, and we kind of all got together there. But it stinks, but I guess it's racing, so we'll go next week and see what we can do.
Well, you've told us you had a flat right front tire that caused it, so it wasn't a direct retaliation, but I also want to ask you, Eddie Sharp, the owner of the 33 truck, came over and you guys must have had a conversation, so tell us what you can about that.
Yeah, he was just, I think he thought it was on purpose too, so I just, I thought we were fine, and all of a sudden I just let go. I didn't even think it was blown, it was just flat, and we went in and then it finally just let go and got up and clipped him a little bit, but I didn't mean to do it. Just, it was a racing deal, but everyone did a good job on this number 98 Aero5 Toyota. So my teammates did good, so a lot of positive things that we'll take from it.
Not the finish they wanted, but certainly a step in the right direction for the 98 team and Dakota Armstrong.
Thanks, Hermie. Coming into this race, 9 points separated the top 4. What a change in that top 5 and top 10. James Busher, well, he was strong until the right front tire goes down and he ends up finishing outside the top 30.
How quickly it changes. 9 points separating 4 drivers, and now look at that.
Timothy Peters put an exclamation point on his point lead, came in here with a 4-point lead, leaves with a 12-point lead. Got most of the bonus points, all but the one for leading the most laps.
So a big shakeup in the Ford Camping World Truck Series point standings. How about Jeff Choquette? The guy is tweeting already after the race is over. Thanks, everyone, for your support tonight. Really happy with the outcome. Couldn't have done it without my crew. P11 on our debut. Not bad. I would say not bad. How about that trophy, too? That thing is really impressive. And James Busher tweeting as well. Tough one to swallow. Had the truck to beat. Just have to go on to the next one. My team's awesome. They never quit. Hashtag NASCAR. Under the lights at a short track. There's nothing better.
No, there isn't, especially when you put an exclamation point by short track, and it's Iowa Speedway. Yeah. 157 miles an hour down into the turn, side by side, 3 wide on all those restarts lately going. What a fun race, and what a great trophy. I don't think Timothy Peters and his team will cherish that trophy.
Remember, this is a short track that thinks it's a super speedway, and most of all these drivers grew up on the short tracks, and this is great to get back to their roots here, even though it's a fast short track. Great show tonight.
We go from a very fast short track to a very fast 1.5 miles. Next week, Saturday, the trucks head to Chicagoland. Make sure to join us. Thanks for joining us tonight.